brings back a lot of memories, man. It was one of the things I remember. Me and a good friend of mine named Frederica. I think it had to be, was it college or senior high school, somewhere around in there. I was at home, and this CD came out, and this is old school. You had to go to Best Buy. That bitch was sold out all over Charlotte. Me and her rode everywhere for that goddamn CD, and everybody was like, I'm sorry, we is sold out, ma'am. You could go on the internet and buy the bitch. So we had to wait. We was so hot because everybody was talking about how the album was flames. And we was like, oh, let's go get it. We had, I was like, what the hell is happening here?
All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Black Guy Who Tips podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
And we're live on a Saturday, ready to do feedback. Of course, that means we're going to respond to all the things that you had to say throughout the week about all the things that we had to say throughout the week. And we talked about a lot of stuff. I forgot to doing it for the gram, so forgive me for that. But I'm sure we'll have plenty of things to talk about despite all that.
Yes.
The official weapon of the show is the photo gym. And the unofficial sport is bullet ball and bullet ball extreme.
Are you trying to pick at me?
Pick at you. I was trying to help.
Thank you for helping. So at least lead me in the right direction.
Find our show everywhere you find shows that you listen to. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, all that stuff. We're there. We appreciate all y'all that take the time out to find the show and leave us 5-star reviews.
We do
all of that stuff. Of course, we also have people that go to our website, theblackguywhotips.com. They look on the right-hand side of the page. It's like, hey, you can donate to the show. You can just put something on it. You don't get anything for it, right? All you get right here is a shout out from us. And that's what I'm about to do. I'm about to shout out the people who put something on it in any denomination. If they do it one time, if it's a recurring donation for any amount, we give you a shout out.
May I have your attention? You are now listening to Charlotte's Own Rod and Karen. We welcome the good folks who tie to the Black Guy Who Tips.
That's right. New blessings, new lessons. Let's see who gave us that Monet. Dr. Bambi, Professor Bambi. You know what it is. And I saw she's out of the hospital and back home on the mend. We love to see it. Unbridled Love. Kim. The Falcon Diva. Jason F. Ken M. Derek L. W. Lawrence C. Christoph R. Who is a brand new recurring donator. Go sit
brand new
with the new members in the new members section.
Go know the new members class.
We'll talk to you after the sermon, and we'll get all your information. Dr. J, Tanisha G, and lastly, Preston Slanger Ages Podcast. Thank y'all, everybody took time out to throw a little coins our way. We appreciate it. That's the part right now. We got some new 5-star reviews. People did have things to say. Great show by Mr. Fineapple, who just left us 5 kissy face slapping emojis. You know, the heart, the 3 hearts on the face, the smiling. That look like the kisses is where the hearts is.
Yeah.
5 stars. Thank you.
Yeah, y'all ain't got the right words.
Don't gotta be long.
We'll take emojis.
Rod and Karen, keep them coming. This is from Tony G. Yoda, who says, thank you for the amazing content multiple times a week. Life is a wild ride some days, and I can always turn on my besties in quotes and know I'm in for a laugh. Keep doing you. Keep them coming. Appreciate you.
Come on. Life is a roller coaster, baby.
It really is. No, I think I came up with this phrase. I always say, life is a highway. Okay. Now I know y'all probably never heard nobody say nothing like that before. But I think life is a highway, and I just want to ride it all night long. You know? Black Steve.
So somebody took that phrase from you apparently and made a song out of it?
No, I just came up with that today.
Okay.
Black Steve. Black Steve says 5-star re-up. Rod and Karen are unreal. I even yelled their names in the street one time. It was like seeing a couple rock stars to me. They were great that day. They had a beer with me, and ever since, seriously though, the news discussed it is well researched and looked at from a real life perspective. The fact that both are outrageously funny is the buttercream on the yellow cake for me. Go premium, and you'll wonder how you ever made it through a shift without one of Justin's petty work sagas to listen to. He is fatty. Hornets forever, y'all. Your main man, 300 grand, Black Steve. Shout out to my man Steve.
Yes, baby.
Yeah, man. That was like, honestly, like I feel like we kind of live a charmed existence in that way, and I feel like the fans and the people that listen are such a great reflection on like what we do. Because he came busting out we were walking down the sidewalk looking for a restaurant.
Yes.
And we couldn't figure out where the restaurant was at. Nope. And we were circling back and forth.
Yes.
And he just came busting out the doors of this place and was like, Rod, Karen. I was like, oh shit. And it was like, I'm a big fan. And he's like, I gotta buy y'all a beer. We sat and hung out for like 20-30 minutes and
talked and find out the bartender was like, yeah, the place is like right next door. It was like next door. It was like in the cut, like not on the main front. So
it was a cool experience, and we've seen him since at like live events and stuff like that. So yeah, I appreciate that, dude.
We do. Thank you.
And the last one is awesome show, all caps. Everything in this all caps. Give thanks for an awesome show with the blessed offerings you share with us. It's also affirmational, confirmational, aspirational, and inspirational. Okay, damn, Ational. I see you, Jesse Jackson.
With the speeches?
It's affirmational, confirmational, aspirational, and inspirational. Give to us. May you be continually blessed in good health and wellness, abundantly exceeding beyond your expectations.
Come on!
Amen. I don't even know how you pronounce Asu. I'm not sure how you said that. Check out my clubhouse gatherings, Mama Fatimat, Hoodoo Words of Wisdom IG, and then at Mama Fatimat. I think it's PHATIMAAT. Angel emoji, praying emoji, kissy face emoji. P.S. I would love to be interviewed on your show and have you on my platforms, Lady Guinevere Productions. Appreciate you. People don't normally use 5-star review for promotion as well, but we appreciate it.
We do.
And that felt like a prayer. That felt like that felt like she got all the way into it. She was like, I bless y'all, I anoint y'all. I feel
exceedingly abundantly above all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man, start speaking in tongues at the end. All right, so we got to get into the show, obviously. But I gotta play music so I know where to put commercials later.
Okay.
All right, let's get into the episode. So we had, I believe, 4 episodes this week, and plenty to talk about. The first episode, of course, is a feedback episode. It's called Black Men Voting. We had 5 comments on that one.
Okay.
The first comment is from
Apia.
Correct.
Yay!
Yeah, she's always getting in there on the weekends. She says, about my friend with mental illness. She talked about having a friend that has mental illness and dealing with that. I also sometimes thought we can't be friends. Maybe I like her. We do have fun together in the long past. And of course, it's complicated again. When we talk, it's 90-95% about her problems always. We have seen each other yesterday, and it was overall good. But in the first hour, she annoyed me a lot with her self-obsession. I got yelled at when I said I understood her situation because she said situation is so serious. I couldn't understand her and no one could. I told her that I try to be empathetic, I think is what she meant, and never will be able to have the same experience, and I wouldn't want it. So what can I do if we talk? How can we communicate? She apologized and said she realized her frustration wasn't about me. Good. but maybe you can see the challenge in being friends with someone who isn't well. What complicates it is she regularly says that one of her biggest fears is that I wouldn't want to be friends with her anymore because I'm a big constant in her life and a force for good. Some people might say that I shouldn't care about that, but I can't. We had times when we didn't have much contact, and I thought maybe we are doing the fade out. But she always makes the effort after some time to reconnect. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's a balance. And I think I'm gonna speak for me personally. I've learned over the years you can love someone very dearly from a distance, and that's very hard for people to understand. I can love you, care about your well-being and who you are, and wish for you the best, but I don't have to be involved in your every day-to-day life functions that are happening all of the time. I don't have to be involved and ingrained and embedded in that every day for me and that means I care, because I think a lot of people associate you consistently being around them, consistently being in their life, and them seeing you every day means you care. That's not a true statement. I can love you and care about you, have compassion for you, and or have understanding for the things that are happening in your life, and also draw my own boundaries that are safe for me and you. Because think about boundaries. A lot of people look at boundaries as a bad thing. Boundaries are for you and they're for other people around you. I know for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but I set my boundaries as a self-protection for me, because you know yourself more than anybody else, and a self-protection mechanism for other people, because other people have nothing to do with the things going on in my life. So I set these boundaries because I know, okay, I know myself and I know these things irritate me or whatever it may be. I'm setting these boundaries so I won't take the things that are happening in my life or whatever emotion I'm feeling and spew it on you, and you have nothing to do with it. So boundaries are for a reason. And so I think when people start setting the boundaries, they think boundaries are a bad thing. When people start saying, pulling away and separating yourself is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I know that's very hard for a lot of people that are empathetic and compassionate and they really love people. But at the same time, people will drive you insane if you allow them to. So you have to set up boundaries so that you can have the energy to deal with people in general.
Yeah, I think that was a huge lesson I've learned in the last few years, is about setting up boundaries as an empath, and how a lot of people's traumas and troubles aren't about me, and it's not necessarily for me to fix, and I can feel empathy for them while also keeping my distance. And at the same time, like I can't do friendships that work in that way of I'm just listening to your problems. And especially I can't do friendships, and I think it was really good that Appia told her this, of if I can't even say something that relates to what you're going through without you like lashing out at me, I can't do it. I really can't, because that is my communication and my love language. That's actually how I show people that I love them, and that they're not alone, is in by being like, hey, I've gone through something similar, and I'm not trying to make it about me. I think that people that have that sort of point of view on these conversations, to me, give off a very transactional vibe, and I don't do transactional friendships. If and it's okay. A lot of people do them, and they need that balance and fairness, and they're keeping score somewhere. And I'm just I never am.
Right.
If I don't talk to you in 3 weeks, if I don't talk to you in a month, if I don't talk to you in a year, I'm not. There's not a tally in my head counting the days and being like, why didn't you check on me or whatever. If I tell you I have an issue or a problem, and then you go, oh, I had a similar issue, or this kind of reminds me of blank, I'll never be mad at you and be like, how dare you? I was talking. This is my issue and mine only.
Right.
That being said, I do have empathy for people with mental health struggles, and I think it's just a case by case basis on like how much you can like deal with and tolerate and understand. And I'm sure there's times in my life where I'm sure, that I've had to have understanding, and vice versa. People had to have understanding for me. And that's part of friendship too. It's just, I've never tallied it or kept track of it. And I think also when you start feeling manipulated and worn down and run down, I remember there was a few years back, there was a dude that was kind of I don't know if he was like bridging a friendship or trying to I'm not really sure what it was, but he started like reaching out, calling me all the time. And I realized over that period of time that like it was basically that person calling me, telling me all their problems, telling me, these things I could never like help or solve really, because it's just everything's continually a problem. Like no matter what, it's a problem. And at that point, I just remember being like, why the fuck do I pick up the phone just to get bummed out every so often? If I see your name in my caller ID and there's not a part of me that goes, okay, yeah, I'm glad. If I see it and it's like work is calling, where it's like, oh, work, then I understand that. Like I understand the idea of feeling like this isn't a reciprocal friendship. I'm not even getting to show up here. And so yeah, and it's just different styles. Somebody else that could be they shit, and it's like we both share our miseries with each other. We commiserate, and we're both. That's what our friendship is, and this is my place for that. But I'm just not really the place for that. I don't really dump my misery on people, and I don't like it being dumped on me constantly all the time. So yeah, but that situation in and out because you're living it and we're not.
Right.
And and whatever, I'm sure you're trying to figure out, that relationship and what it's gonna be and look like. But yeah, I just wanted to say I can relate. Like I can relate to that idea of like feeling like, oh man, what do I do here? I don't want this person to think I'm like part of the problem. And especially if they say something to you like, you're my rock, you're my person that I can do. It makes you feel, it's like it's hard to tell, like, is this manipulation so that because they know that they're just kind of using me to trauma dump and there's no other function for our friendship. And if I start to wise up and go, I don't really want to do this, they know that I'm gonna have to go back to that moment where they were like, you the only one that's keeping me, da 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 da. And then the last thing I'll say is another thing I realize is a lot of times these people's relationship is like that with more than just me. And so a lot of times while I'm leaning into my importance and my ego of like, but if I don't talk to them, what they gonna do? But the truth is they've been figuring a way out in life a bunch of other days without me being around, and they will figure it out whether I'm around or not.
Right. And also, for a lot of people, I can only speak for myself. I didn't want to be seen as a bad person. And if you're somebody that has that trait like I had, who you don't want to be seen as a bad person,
that was me.
You don't want to be seen as the person who quote unquote lets people down. You like being called good girl, good boy, good person. You enjoy that, like that is a part of your addiction in a relationship, because it's a relationship. Let's be fair to realize. And if they are feeding that part of your personality and you are feeding their part of their personality, y'all have a relationship. But the relationship is dysfunctional, but you both have a relationship where you both are benefiting from it. They're benefiting from it from you being there and them dumping everything on you all the time. And you're benefiting from it from the quote unquote rewards and the accolades, and for them telling you how important, how marvelous, and how great that you really are. But I had to open up my eyes and come to the reality, like Roger says. People have lived long enough and people have functioned. This person functioned way before they knew you, and this person will be functioning way after the relationship grows into whatever it grows. Be it y'all still remain friends, be it y'all not. Like, they'll be just fine. And also, the thing is, a lot of times, if you go back and when people are like this, look around at the people around them. Are you their quote unquote only source of friendship? And you have to go, oh, have they have had friendships where they fall out with everybody? Like, have they, and people don't really do that, but I have a tendency to do that. Let me go back and let me look at the people, places, and things they have around them. I am not an exception to their rules. I just happen to get caught up in their whirlwind lifestyle, and I'm in their hurricane right now. And eventually, that once a hurricane passes through, it leaves nothing but destruction. And some people, I realize, have that type of personality. And you have to realize that sometimes you don't want to get caught up in their storm. it's really easier said than done, particularly if it's something new, if you've never experienced that type of manipulation and things like that before. And sometimes it doesn't have to be friends. Sometimes it can be family members. And that's when it's even harder, because you have to look your family member in the eye and be like, you know what, dog, I love you, but nah, I'm not dealing with this all of the time, because this is a lot and too much for me, and a lot of times you have to do self-reflection and look into yourself and ask yourself, is this relationship worth it to me? Because how is this relationship benefiting me? Like, and these are questions that I can't answer. You have to answer them for yourself and come to your own conclusion on what's best for you. And if you are willing to, put like this, how much effort are you willing to put into the relationship? And on top of that, relationships develop and they change. The way a relationship starts and the relationship 20 years later ain't the same relationship. And so the relationship it can grow and evolve and change and shit like that as people grow, as things coming in and out of life. And that's okay too. It doesn't mean either person's bad. It doesn't mean either person's wrong. People just grow, and sometimes they grow together and sometimes they grow apart. And sometimes, but that's okay. And I think a lot of times, even though human beings deal with changes all the time, for some reason we think certain things are supposed to be constant in our lives, and particularly when it comes to friends, and that's not true.
She also wrote in about my wish for Europe not to be burned to the ground. Well, let me just cut you off there. I'll read the rest of this, but I don't think the listeners of the Blackout Tips are gonna burn Europe to the ground. Okay, no. I'm just guessing here. Okay, look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we look up a few years from now and I'm like, damn, we really burned Europe to the ground. I can't believe my fan base was so vast and ridiculous and so well armed and prepared. But I don't think it's gonna happen. That's just my guess.
Yes, they look forward to you being the first person to post all the time.
I'm just saying, I think we'll be all right.
Yes,
that's just my guess. Okay, we can't ever really know.
That's my hypothesis.
Okay, but yeah. So she says the Germans tried. I didn't participate, of course, because I wasn't alive yet at the time for many years. And for my first 12 years of my life, I was Polish. They failed, and they were already in the middle of Europe. So I guess it's very hard. Please don't and always think you want Appia alive so she can keep writing these comments. God, I hope these comments will save me in Europe too. I hope so.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, keep them up. You're doing a good job so far. But hey, look, one bad comment and I can't. All bets off. Michael says, I was thinking about you being born in Poland. When Rod said that about Germany, he walked straight into a huge white people beef with that one. She said, yes, that's true. Luckily, I don't even know what I consider myself to be. Definitely more German because I live my life here. But in my first 12 years, I was told that Germans were evil and tried to kill us, like in Polish people. So that's complicating the issue. To be safe, I'm pro not burning anything to the ground for no reason, no matter who you are. There you go.
Good.
I can respect that. All right, let's go to the next. Oh, and I'm sorry for the third comment.
3 times.
In Italy, unlike in the US, you don't need 51% of the votes to lead. Your system is the winner take it all. Unlike here, the system is completely different. The right-wing party in Italy only got 26% in 2022 and was still the strongest bloc. With the help of other less right-wing parties, it was able to build a government. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is no matter what the percentage would be, it really doesn't matter, because my point isn't like the vast majority of people are conservative and right-wing and agree with being homophobic and all that stuff. It doesn't take the vast majority. In America, it's not the majority. It's not the majority. Like, number one, Republicans lose the popular vote every time.
Yes, they do.
Number two, they have to do a bunch of gerrymandering and like voter suppression to win.
Yes.
But also there's a ton of people that don't vote. So even if we counted all the people in America and then we just balance that with voting, you're probably talking about a similar percentage of people, somewhere between like 25 to 30% of people that are actually hardcore conservative, hypocrite, bigot motherfuckers. That's all it takes. And what I'm saying is that kind of percentage can still establish a culture, because in addition to their hardcore extremism, you have to add in all the people that don't care, the people that don't vote, the people that don't give a fuck who wins or loses. Those people count to me as part of the problem.
Yes.
So while only 26% of people may drive the bigotry, they can still drive the entire culture if enough people don't care and push back. And so I think even with multiple parties, even with them getting 26%, I think the point still stands that like the culture that gets people hurt and that that incentivizes, or even not incentivize, what's a better word? Inflames these bigoted hate crimes in this environment where you would abuse your own child for being gay. I feel like that stuff is in the society and not just an individual. Like it's a macro and micro thing. It's not only just like these two bad eggs or whatever. It's they thought the coast was clear. When I think about this a lot when we think about trans women of color in America and how much they get murdered and abused disproportionately, and sex work and stuff like that. I think it's not just the idea of, oh, this person just happens to be a trans sex worker and that's what happens. No, it's in a society where we're pushing the idea of hatred and danger and bigotry towards trans people. Who's the least protected group in that group? Trans women of color, more than likely. So who's the most likely to suffer the most harsh consequences from our attitudes in the public? I think it's going to be the group that's the least protected because people feel like they can get away with it. We've read so many articles where we just can't find who did it. Oh, the person that did it said that it was for this reason that's acceptable in society. It was trans panic. It was they tried to trick me or whatever it was. And so many people accept those lies. How many people when they talk to a trans person, they, you know, on these radio shows and all that, the first thing they're asking is, you ever try to trick somebody? So when do you disclose that, you know, you still, you know, you a trans woman? Like it's an attitude that we put into the world, whether not even through legislation, but just through like in our justice system, the lack of punishment, the lack of police taking these cases seriously, the police misgendering the victims in the situation, and many of the articles about it in police reports. So all I'm saying is that societal influence adds up, and it doesn't take a majority of people to have the impact on the public sentiment that ends up becoming the dominant culture, even without the majority of people. So that's what I mean. All right, let's check the poll. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me check the comments on YouTube first. Sorry. We got one from a troll that just says Trump 2024. So we'll be hiding that user from channel.
Yes, let's hide.
Yeah, I hate a troll. And then back to the polls. Should we burn Europe down? Is the poll.
No.
Let's find out what our fans think. 18% yes, 82% no on our website. Now on Spotify, they say 35% yes, 65% no. And you know who I blame? I blame that museum. Okay, they stole them artifacts and they know what they did.
I think that's what people, it's ain't a personal attack against you, Oppie.
No, it's a personal too. Anybody over there can get it. Karen is so worried about your white feelings every episode. Every episode. I know Janisha just be listening, shaking her head.
I know, right?
Oh, Appia, baby, please don't. Oh, baby.
She's
oh,
like,
Lord.
I go out to eat with Karen. Karen don't be having the same energy.
Her feelings is going to be feeling so. Oh, no, not the poor white feelings. Not the white. What is going to happen?
What is wrong with you, Karen?
Let it go. She can take a joke. She over here with us. We didn't land on German rock. German rock.
They landed on us, apparently.
The Q&A was the Q&A was just Go Heels, because the Tar Heels are playing Duke Blue Devils that night, and yeah, we kicked their ass. How you supposed to? Okay, I don't care if we lost the game before and the game after. It was only one game I care about. I ain't watched them other games. Bill says, let's go. Aaron says, I'm so here for all this good news from your fans. Yeah, I love that segment for doing it for the gram. Bianca says, years ago, I was commuting on a train. I overheard a story about someone's coworker who would randomly pick someone's lunch every day and just take the meat off the sandwich. What? Nah, fam. Nah. Nope. Gotta kill you. That's just the rules. You gotta die for that.
Yeah, I don't got them no more, but I bought me one of them lunchbox that had one of them things that kept the shit cold for hours, and I would literally just pack everything in there and be like, I'm not putting shit in the refrigerator.
Kadian says, now that I live in Brexit Britain, I voted yes. So Kadian say burn it down. Okay, all right. We see you, revolutionary sister over there. All right, let's go to the next episode. The next episode is 2851 during Black History Month. 8 comments. Let's see what we got here. The first one I think is from Cynthia, who says, hey, your resident Lovers and Friends Fest veteran and Las Vegas local here.
Okay.
Shout out to you in the Super Bowl this week. I hope you're having a fun time.
Me too.
I can't speak on the artists that haven't received a deposit, but I went to the first Lovers and Friends Fest and every artist showed up. I also had friends go to the second one, and again, no reports of missing artists. Also, this music festival takes place at this venue called the Las Vegas Festival Grounds. There are probably about 10 stages for all those artists to perform on, and the festival is literally from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. So it's definitely possible for them all to be booked at the event, just not possible for anyone to see every artist. I cut this music festival some slack because as a Las Vegas local, I can attest that to the way the strip resorts did not fuck with Black artists for a long time. Then we got the NBA All-Star in 2007, and they saw all them naysayers that flooded the strip, and shit went right back to whites only mode. I remember that. Anyways, I'll say all that to say it may not seem like it, but this festival happening on the Las Vegas Strip is a big deal for Black music and culture. I got my ticket. If there is any fuckery afoot, I'll report back.
Thank you.
Oh, for sure. I that's why I said I know in the past it's went off without a hitch. Nobody's complained because you know, Black Twitter, they would definitely be complaining and making fun of people.
Yes, they would.
It was just this year seeing the headliners, because I feel like this is the biggest year. It's even bigger than the last ones. Because I've always seen the flyers, but this is the year I was like, damn, they got everybody. And then seeing some of the headliners come out and be like, I ain't got no check. Right. I was like, oh, it's giving Firefest.
Yeah, that's not a good look.
Don't play with, because y'all listen. As much as I'm pro Black and everything, I just understand the consequences. We only get one time for the shit to go wrong.
Right.
And so, you know, I hope it's gonna go off without a hitch. I hope it's great. I hope everybody shows up and everybody has a great time. Mm-hmm. But I just kept thinking like, oh God, man, we ain't gonna get no Firefest 2 like Billy did. It's just gonna be, no matter how long the festival was happening, it was great. Remember that one time Mary J. Blige showed up and she said she ain't get paid, and it's just gonna be done. But nah, I hope it goes off, and report back. I hope you have a good time. Abby says, I don't cheat, and I'm married to an introvert who doesn't even like tomatillos to strangers. Probably maybe conversations got, I don't know what tomatillos to strangers means. That's a pretty big plus when it comes to infections. Maybe talking to strangers. Maybe it's talking to, and then it got auto-corrected.
Yes.
And Shoe Booty responded, said, I think the point Karen made was that we have to get our female junk inspected yearly is more to our advantage of screening for things, instead of men who won't notice a silent infection until their pecker falls off. Even if your husband is an introvert, you can't really bank on that as the only reason he won't cheat. He bagged you, right? He put himself out there for you. Who's to say? You never know when someone catches a wild hair. And what the heck about tomatillos? Did I miss something? What gets lost in translation from German to English and makes a left turn to tomatillos?
That gotta be autocorrect.
Damn it! Now I want some enchiladas verdes. Yeah, I'm guessing tomatillos was talking to. He doesn't even like talking to strangers.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, Shoe Booty. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And Kristen replies, I agree. Women are more likely to have annual checkups, so these things can be picked up. I think the biggest point I've noticed from working in healthcare is how important it is for all women to get fully tested each time, because there's a lot of shenanigans going on. Mm-hmm. Also, I found out, because I do mental health evaluations in the hospital, that treatment is 3 injections spread out, and shots are very painful. So a lot ends up being spread because a lack of access to adequate follow-ups, because you know America has such stellar healthcare. Yeah, like what if you need 3 different injections? If at any point you lose your healthcare during that thing, so you just got to let it go? Wow.
Ain't it crazy? And also, it's one of those things too. Not all the times, but a lot of times when it comes to people that are like extreme, the extrovert, the introvert. A lot of times it's the extrovert that goes, "I want you," to the introvert type of personality, and then it moves on from there. Not all the time, but I know kind of in our relationship, that's kind of what happens. So even though the person's an introvert, sometimes they might not always be the aggressor.
Well, she's just saying that an introverted person, she's married to an introvert and she feels like it puts her at a lower risk of him being out there cheating because he doesn't really like talking to anybody. So
he like people, ew.
And so she just thinks it probably reduces her chances. I understand that point of view because as an introvert myself, but I also just I can't really tell when someone's hitting on me anyway. But as an introvert myself, I definitely don't really flirt or be out there with people. It's not that I don't find people attractive or any of that stuff. It's just it ain't in me. You know what I mean? Maybe if I was single or something, maybe, or in the right environment, I don't know. It's just not. It's not a thing for me.
Right.
So
it's not part of your personality.
And you only know from marrying a person or being around a person what kind of introvert they are. Mm-hmm. And yeah, at the same time, it doesn't make it impossible. I'm sure introverted people cheat all the time because people cheat all the time.
Right.
And somebody could just run up on them on some like, "Hey, I fucking like you that much. I'm gonna be on you the way your wife picked you up," but next thing you know, they cheating too. So I don't know. I don't think it's no foolproof way of ever knowing somebody will or won't do some shit. We just that's what faith and trust and the vows that's what it's about, But people do it all the time. Abia says, "Yeah, I go to the doctor anyway to get my things checked out. Good reminder to make an appointment for this year. I don't think that I could be 100% sure to never get anything, just that I consider myself a low risk infection because my one partner is only for years lifestyle." Yeah, I think this is one of the reasons that I don't buy the arguments people, when they like make the biological argument to shit on monogamy, where they're like, we just animals. Okay. You telling me, because normally a man, because if a woman makes the argument, it's normally not biological, but let's just say, in this case, it's a dude. It's normally you. So I'm supposed a man. See, first of all, I got a lot of sperm. I can do this. Woman only got one egg. All that shit, and they try to make a biological argument as if monogamy is so fucking dumb. And I'm like, but then if you're making a biological argument, why doesn't STDs come into the argument? Because that's a biological issue as well. Mm-hmm. And the best way to reduce your risk for STDs would be to lower the amount of partners you have. But no one ever makes that biological argument. It's only the argument of, I would like to fuck as many women as possible with them fucking as few men as possible. Because of course it's all cis het shit, but it's all, or actually, even in that case, they might even be like, you can fuck other women, but not no man. Like, it's a very interesting argument, and your thought made me think of that. I meant he doesn't want to talk to strangers, but it's funny that spell check changed it to tomatillos. That's pretty funny and confused me when I saw it now.
and also the thing about I know being a woman is you have to get literally everything checked. You have to get, you go to the
see that you say that, but then there's women that skip the annual.
They do.
Yeah. So like, cause men
insurance. Oh.
Well, sorry. For insurance, or just there's people that feel, it's like how people don't get mammograms. Like some people feel like anxiety about it. Some people just don't do it. You're very good at making sure you go. Mm-hmm. I'm saying I know women that don't go.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And so I know people are like, well, women have to do it. Men are supposed to do an annual checkup too. Mm-hmm. So that like the men don't go as well a lot of times, but they be checking and they ask you, do you want an STD test and all that stuff. So like, it's not really a biological difference on why men shouldn't get the STD test or go to the doctor every year. It's just men and patriarchy and machismo and stupidity. Men feel like it's something like I'm fine, and that shit. But yeah, both genders can do it in that binary gender case of how we're talking about it.
Yeah, yes. I completely understand it. Yeah, and I happen to be, just me and my personality. Like I want to know what's happening, what's going on with my body. But I do understand
there are men like that too. And also, if you date, like, as part of your annual, they pull out your pants, they look at your junk, they check your balls, make you cough. Like, so if you go as a man, like, they might not get a speculum out, but
right.
Point being, like, and then they definitely ask you, do you want that STD test? It's it's included, and just takes a second. So all I'm saying is, it's a lot of it. It's the same for men and women if all things are equal. It's just that out in society, I think men feel like I don't got to do all that shit.
Right. And you, like you said, you have a percentage of women that feel that way. Because I'm talking about, straight women that feel that way, but you do have a percentage of women that won't and don't. So I understand.
And men can get STDs without knowing it because they partner cheating and shit. Like,
right.
We're talking in a very, like, some very without data type of terms.
Agreed.
And with a lot of stereotypes in it. But I guess what I'm saying is, all things equal, everybody should just get it. Just, everyone should go to the doctor. Everyone should get that test. It's just included in it anyway. And I mean, I guess the worst news, you find out somebody gave you an STD without, which, I mean, it's still kind of good news to know rather than not know. And best news is, you spent, you got the test and it came back fine. So, Shoe Booty says that festival sounds like a lot. My ADHD ass would be left spinning trying to do and see all the things. Yeah, I wonder if I'd just be like, completely frozen in some, like, oh man, but if Genuine's over here, then Usher's over here. What? Oh man, I'm just going, which one should I go to? Am I gonna make it in time? And I'll just be in the lobby. Ernest.
He'll be all over the place knowing me.
Ernest.com says, I'm sorry, y'all. I know this isn't the nerd off, but there's some, well, honestly, you know what? Because I'm an introvert, I'll probably go to the stages with the least people at them.
Yes.
And be enjoying the fuck out of, like, me and 6 other people listening to, like, whoever people didn't show up for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like the people that got, like, they were like, why is anybody at the Tony Rich Project stage? I'm like, because 6 people here and I can spread out.
Tony Rich, my
and
jam.
Nobody knows it but me. Just me and Tony.
Yes.
I'll be on stage with Tony doing the duet. He's like, hey, you might as well come up here.
Have a good time.
No offense, Tony Rich. I know you probably still sell out stadiums. Ernest says, I'm sorry, y'all. I know this isn't a nerd off, but there's something on my heart that I need to let out. Have y'all played Power World yet? I tried it and could not believe my eyes. They made a game with cute little characters that are minding their own business, and the point of the game is to beat them up, kidnap them, and force them to work for you. You made a cartoon slavery simulator just in time for Black History Month. Please play the I'm Disgusted clip for me. Thank you both for your time and your consideration. Shout out to the chat room. Okay.
I have not.
I have multiple issues with this. The first one is, why didn't you write into the nerd off? Are you not premium? You trying to get some free nerd off, nigga? You think you slick?
Some free nerd off?
You think you slick? You don't want to pay the files? So now I'll get them to do a little nerd off for me. No, but then you requested the clip, which I got you. I guess it's this one.
I am disgusted.
It could have been that one, or it could have been the other disgusted clip.
I get disgusted by a lot of things. I'm very disgusted, to be quite honest with you. I'm just so disgusted.
I can't tell you how disgusted I am.
I'm disgusted with him right now.
I'm so disgusted.
I'm disgusted with it.
I'm so disgusted. I'm so damn disgusted.
I'm just disgusted. Oh, I'm just trying to be cool. But
And then the last thing is, how can you be mad at Power World for this when this is the premise to Pokemon?
Mm-hmm. That's the same.
I mean,
same thing.
It's the same thing.
Gotta catch 'em all.
Like, that's like, of all the things that Power World did that was offensive, the animals, the Pokemon slavery is the least offensive. That's the crux of Pokemon. I caught a wild animal, enslaved it, and forced it to fucking do dog fights like on Mike Vick. Like, that's not all that's bad. But I hear you though. Evie says, I just know the people running Sweetly season has to be kicking themselves. They could have had lines for days. They messed it up for themselves. Not giving those people the money per Keith was wild enough, but I think it was more egregious that he paid for people in line and they only gave the first 3 people free food. Absolutely. I forgot about that part. Oh, great point, Evie.
Mm-hmm. Because like I said, and maybe it's just me, I consider that, oh, this is a blessing. Did my thing and be like, I know, but that is, if you know the power of Keith Lee, which this person may not have, you go, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do this because I know I'm gonna get this tenfold. Like the amount of people that's getting ready to order is gonna be a drop in the bucket compared to.
And he already paid for them,
right? So yeah, everybody would have got it free.
Now people are scamming in his name in cities he hasn't visited yet. Y'all saw they were doing it in Vegas. They were being like, there were food influencers that he had to put a video out about it. There were food influencers who were promising Keith Lee would go to your restaurant if you paid them a certain amount of fees, and he was gonna show up and do a review.
Oh no!
He doesn't work that way. He never takes money to do reviews, and he never tells people he's coming.
Right.
And he had to put out a video saying that's not me. Those people are not doing good business, and you can't trust them.
Right, they scamming.
Yeah, it's some grifting ass people, man. Keith Lee has shown me how fucked up the world is by trying to be a good person.
Right.
He just reflected more just how bad people can be. But he's doing a lot of good for small businesses. I commend it. Too bad there are so many shady people that take advantage of his generosity. SNL hosted Elon Musty and Dump and Fuliani. So I'm not surprised that Nikki Haley made a cameo. Why you didn't give Nikki Haley a nickname? I mean, you said Elon Musty, Dump, and Fuliani. Nikki Haley ain't got no nickname. You gotta workshop that, EVE.
Come on with something clever.
Put it in the bucket list. We'll make some jokes. At least we were spared the entire episode of her, unlike the other ones. Well, that's just because of male privilege, sis. Okay. Sisters out here doing it for the. All right. The comments on YouTube. Let's see if we had any during Black History Month. One comment. Somebody paid mortgage here, said Deep 1689. I don't know when we said that, but I'm sure we said that, and it was probably very funny. Mm-hmm. But it's been 5 days of real life for us, so I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
The Q&A and the poll. So the poll was Nikki Haley on SNN. Yay, meh, or nay?
Nay.
Nay. 74% of people say nay, like Karen. 26 say meh, and 0% say yay. And then on Spotify, let me go to the right episode because that always helps to look at the right poll. 6% say yay. They do want her on there. 28% say meh, and 66% say nay. And I'm not judging the people that say yay. And the reason I'm not judging y'all is because it could be y'all thinking maybe she can take down Trump, or there has to be some push to show, like, to help her win over these motherfucking white voters they losing right now, to give us some chance that it at least pulls away from Trump's influence. So it could be that. It might not necessarily be people being like, yeah, because I support Nikki Haley, but the other way.
I can see that.
And then the Q&A was, if us is Black culture was more grounded in these integral magical nuances of us would be dominant. Tyrese Gibson. Roger says you forgot to add pre-PhD. Tyler says, what the F does that mean, Kobe Bryant? Kisha says, boy, shut up and sing. The only culture and race that's dominant is the white patriarchy and supremacy.
Not shut up and sing.
Jeff said, damn, reading be fundamental. We dumber for having poor knowledge into us Black men. Woo, Jeff in Japan. Sean says, did you see MSNBC special on Black men? They had Black men standing around a pool table, holding pool stakes, talk about Black men things. Tyrese should have been there. I didn't see it. I couldn't. I can't. The concept made me mad. So
yep.
I don't want to give them niggas more oxygen. Just
you won't be getting my clicks.
It's clearly not facts
right.
when we look at the poll result, at the results coming out of the fucking voting booth. So if this is how they get their money and their grifting and shit, that's what they're gonna do. And if not, that's nothing we can do about it. I've been as vocal as possible about how adamantly I feel we should be treating this election cycle and how much we should be voting and not sitting it out or throwing it away or voting Republican. But that shit ain't gonna make good TV. It makes good TV to put black men on there getting their hair cut in the barbershop or shooting hoops at the basketball court or whatever, or playing pool, talking about why we might not vote.
Right.
Toy says, I really want Reese to stand down somewhere and hush. Yeah. Coach Malik says, dumb nigga say what? Raphael says they should never have let Tyrese be part of the F&F family, Fast Furious family. He's now in the multiverse of nonsense. How you trying to shit on black people with communities that have black folks in all of them? Dumb, right? Phil Wasova says, I am confusion. I thought I was reading this quote wrong at first. Yeah. Somebody's name who's just a bunch of numbers says, girl, huh? Ashquash says, I can let out the deepest sighs as soon as you said his name. Why won't he leave us alone? Yeah, I had to add him to the coon list. I am doing my countdown. I'm doing the coon countdown. And I did have to add Tyrese in there because this shit was that dumb.
Oh no.
I think it's Asay or AS with the E on the apostrophe thing. I think it's Asay. But Asay Rebel or Asay Rebel says, I can't believe this model turn singer turn actor turn supervillain never shuts up. Even when you correct this sentence, it still doesn't make sense. Racism is why we aren't dominant, you fool. Ken Nicole says, what a dumb ninja. I think he says something that sounds profound, but only provokes how ignorant he truly is. Ninja, you are embarrassing. And Jamie Lynn says immediately, no. Immediately, no. That's a bar. All right, that might be the title of the show. But yeah, immediately no. Tyrese is a no. All right, we're gonna go to the next episode, but I need to play music so we can get this money. All right, the next episode is 2852 on the streets. KP Skirt says, as usual, y'all was spitting talking about voting. It's the same shit every cycle, and it's sad how people fall for it every time. I know. It says, I never listened to Justin Timberlake or Britney because my taste in music was always the taste of a sad white boy, indie rock. It is now the taste of a person who wants to relax and does yoga, ambient music. Hello, Newsy. But he was also a child star. I'm sure he also had some shit happen to him. Why did people expect him to be a fully formed adult at the age of 18? I wasn't. He was super famous, so the stupid shit he did was on display. Joe Biden is much better than I expected him to be. I wish other people would also admit it. Yep, all that stuff. And I won't even do the full Justin Timberlake defense, but I just try to be fair to people. And I think a lot of the situations with Justin Timberlake, I think people are either not being fair or they just completely believe some stuff I don't believe. And I'm not even a fan of his like that. I like those two albums. I don't really like fuck with him as music. I didn't even like the boy band stuff he did just because it wasn't for me.
Okay.
Not that it was bad, but that's not what I was listening to at the time. I was listening to rap. But I do feel like he's a great example of how people can take on a narrative and then they need to ride it out no matter what. I still remember like they tried to take out of her book like Justin Timberlake piece of shit. He didn't want to have a child with her. And I'm like, why the fuck? Why do you think he was the one who was wrong there? Like, what has happened with Britney and her family and her children that make you go, yeah, her and Justin Timberlake definitely should have fucking had a baby together. That would have been smart for those 17-year-olds. Like, yeah, it's just people are so weirdly unreasonable about all that shit.
Yes,
And
I'm not sides and gender wars and shit like that.
Yeah, and I'm just not a huge. I just didn't get into all that. I get that it's now taking on a life of its own like misery industry of hating Justin Timberlake, but I don't know. I never really felt that he did anything that was so unreasonable or crazy, and he also was in some bad situations throughout that. The Janet Jackson thing, I to this day still believe that was a plan.
It was staged.
They both knew her titty was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he like set her up or no shit. I think what happened was when Les Moonves said to both of them separately, I'm gonna destroy y'all careers. I'm gonna do everything in my power as one of the most powerful men in entertainment to make sure you don't work again unless you put out an apology. Justin Timberlake folded and said, "Yeah, I apologize," because he didn't want that smoke. And Janet Jackson ran with the yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. It was all just a wardrobe malfunction and all this shit. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. That Les Moonves seems more like the bad guy in that situation than Janet Jackson.
Yes.
And I'll just let people deal with how they feel about that shit. And as far as Janet Jackson pulling her titty out at the Super Bowl, I wanted to see it. Wasn't the worst thing in the world for me. You could barely see it during the live broadcast anyway.
Right, that shit was quick.
Yeah, but at the same time, like that, if you pull your titty out of the Super Bowl, there's consequences for that, and it's not, like that. It is a shocking rock and roll level thing that you did at the Super Bowl, and I think of course, the world wanted to make her pay. I remember how angry the vitriol about that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very predictable outcome. That being said, I love Janet Jackson. I always wanted to see them titties anyway. So I appreciated her, and I still listened and supported the music. So, but yeah, I understood everyone's point of view in that situation. Except, of course, I think Les Moonves, who did turn out to be an extremely abusive man with a history of abusing women, and ended up being drummed out of Hollywood and out of the entertainment industry. Find it amazing that so many people would rather blame Timberlake than him, but it is what it is.
Right. And on top of that, for a lot of people, they would have folded, and because of him and his power, his stature at that time, it makes sense.
Yeah, most people would have folded.
Agreed.
Most people would have folded. Janet had to stick with the lie because she can't. If she admits I pulled my titty out of the Super Bowl on purpose, then there's another level of fallout for that. So you just go, it was a wardrobe malfunction, and they're not gonna believe it. I don't believe it, but she gonna have to stick with that till the day she dies. She can't be like, yeah, okay, I did pull my titty out, and it's the Super Bowl. It's a big deal, so people gonna be mad. Everybody saw it. Now, if you see a titty and it make you mad, we just not the same kind of person, and we'll never relate to each other.
We sure not.
All right. Back to the comments. Shoe Booty says, there's never going to be a candidate that is a perfect person who checks off all the boxes, and we can't afford to throw the baby out with the bathwater. People are flawed. No one can embody every single idea you hope for. I agree with all those things, and I just feel like it's not even worth engaging folks at this point and going back and forth with them, because I feel like they say that stuff for engagement.
Yes, they do.
Like, there's a woman on Twitter who goes viral like 3 to 4 times a year. And it's so funny. It's always the same people that go viral for like the most horrible takes, and then everybody forgets about it, and they like them for like a week later, and then they go viral again 3 4 months later.
Mute them, like
whatever.
Right.
I just know that this person, every time I see them trending, it's bad because they said some flagrantly hot take. And clearly they're a person that must enjoy it or don't care or whatever, or gets off on it somehow, And the take that I saw go viral like the last couple of days was Joe Biden clearly has dementia, and then a shame on everybody supporting him and all this shit. And of course, doctors are being like, he doesn't have dementia. People whose loved ones died of dementia, like, that's not what dementia looks like.
Yeah.
These people have their own facts.
Right.
And she clearly wanted the engagement. Like, she's not gonna say, well, damn, y'all right. I guess if a fucking doctor that works on this for a living is on Twitter going, you can't diagnose somebody from a little bit of clips and shit that you've seen on Twitter, you can't, like, I'm telling you, as a person that does this for a living, there's no fucking way to tell from what the evidence you're presenting. And you're like, nope, I know better than you because I'm on Twitter and I decided. Those people want the engagement, which is why I'm not gonna even go. We talk about it here and in the spaces that we have, but I don't even engage with the people to be like, well, so you waiting on a perfect candidate, because they don't care.
Right.
Everything you said is valid and they won't care.
Right, and there's also one of those things where you don't have to engage. And back to some of the things I said before, people are opting to engage, and then when you engage, it is what it is, and then you get emotionally wrapped up, angry, and upset. But at the same time, not trying funny, people don't want to take a personal accountability. At any period of time, you can opt out. At any period of time, you can keep scrolling. You do not have to engage.
Yeah.
But there's something within you that causes you to engage, whatever that be.
Well, for the record, this person
was
wasn't talking about engaging. I just brought up that.
But yeah, I'm talking about the people that engage the person that actually put out the initial post. Yeah. And nobody wants to do that internal work that will be like, hey, why am I engaging? What makes me inflamed? Like whatever this is, which will actually drum down engagement, but people don't want to do that.
About the Britney Instagram post, this is from Kristen, who she says there was a story in her book about how she stomped Justin's ass in basketball and he pulled a cartman and went home because a girl beat him. Her rants are confusing, but always a lesson like Yoda. And second, in regards to voting, I think the stress for me, I sent in the email, is that the younger generation who are new voters are chronically online. So this discourse could be disheartening for some of them if they don't have people explaining the importance of voting to them, and because they don't understand government history. So there's the stressor. Yeah, but it's two things about that. One, you can't do shit about that from worrying about it. Either you get out there and try to educate people or you don't.
Right.
But you sitting around worrying or sending us the thing to be like, y'all worried about it? What the fuck do that matter? It's not going to help. And then the second part of that is that was also happening in 2020, and those young people turned out and they voted Democrat. So I'm not saying that will repeat, but just saying that those are constant things that you described, not like new things that we're just now dealing with. And so either they'll see the big picture and show up, or they won't. And there were mixed reports coming out of that election, and this is one of the problems with confirmation bias. There were a lot of people being like, the youth won't show up for Joe Biden and it's because he won't do this, that, and the other. And then after the election, they were like, the youth saved Joe Biden. They showed up for him and he owes them and all this stuff. Now, he did push a lot of legislation that helps the youth, the Green New Deal, and the
biggest thing, he can't be pushed,
and the student loans and all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So he did do those things, but at the same time, and then pushing to stop penalizing like marijuana and stuff. Although I'm not sure that's just a young people's issue. Anyway, so he did do a lot of stuff that people said, oh yeah, this is what the youth want, and this was what they voted for. But it's the internet. They're going to always find the next thing that the young people should not vote for. Yeah. And so we have to have faith or hope or education and in the young people continuing to be like they were in 2020, because I don't think they thought he was a perfect candidate in 2020. So if it was indeed the youth vote that turned out and was heavily influenced, and voted for Biden, then I hope we get that again, because I think stuff like Roe v. Wade being overturned is still a very youth-oriented issue that doesn't really have anything to do with Joe Biden specifically, but has everything to do about keeping Republicans like Trump out of office, because that's who picked those Supreme Court justices. And do you want to keep going down that path?
Agreed.
EVE says, for the first time in years, I skipped the Grammys and glad because my anger issues could never. I heard that none of the hip hop awards are presented on the live show, which is basically why Will Smith boycotted them years ago. The more things change, the more they stay the same. I kind of wonder if the people running the social media account for the Grammys intentionally posted Nicki as the winner to get under her skin. That kind of seems like the type of mistake someone doesn't make. The woman is already having a bad week. This has to enrage her even more. I don't know the answer to any of those things. I did listen to Trevor Noah's podcast where he talked about, with the guy who produces the Grammys and a couple other people, they talked about the behind the scenes at the Grammys. They didn't bring up the Nicki Minaj thing, and they didn't bring up Killer Mike getting arrested, but they did talk about a lot of the stuff with the awards and why the hip hop award wasn't on TV and stuff. And I thought the reasoning was pretty solid, but y'all can check it out for yourself. And the reasoning was something to the effect of they actually can only broadcast 10 awards and they give out 93. And they have
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. And I believe they have given out the hip hop awards on the live broadcast in the past before, but this year, I believe it was a black man who was producing it, was like that he wanted to highlight R&B because R&B had a very strong year last year with a field full of candidates. And he wanted to highlight, Victoria Monet and, I think it was almost all black women too. And so he wanted to highlight those people this year. And so he swapped out the rap one for the R&B one. But, once again, I don't know enough about the awards.
Right.
I don't watch the show enough. So I don't know if there's like some other award that people would have swapped out another one and been like, we want rap and R&B. I don't know. So,
and I wonder, I know this might sound silly, but I wonder if it's something where they do that and then have like a longer version that they put online, or they like, nope, this is the airtime. This is all we get.
No idea.
Okay. I'm just wondering.
I know. Gina says on the South Carolina primary, a friend of mine was approached by a reporter. She said by the questions they were asking, it was clear the narrative is that we aren't voting and we are anti-Biden. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I think they have an angle and they want to push that angle. It's a media narrative. It's what makes shows. It's how shows get greenlit. It's how you get your special put on MSNBC on a weekend. You need a point of view. And I don't think the accuracy of the point of view is necessarily what they're going for. It's what drives focus. And I think people focus their attention on the idea of black people, the most loyal, the most reliable left-leaning demographic in America. They think there's a huge story in saying we're either no longer left-leaning or we're not going to vote. And here are some examples of the people who aren't going to vote. And it's been like that for a long time, but I feel like the media is getting even worse with the shit. And it feels fucked up and kind of racist. Why don't y'all, why is it always us? Anyway. Also, what are the lines in the White People News song after we might be problematic? I can't understand what comes between that and the sun's really hard on our fragile pink skin. I've been trying to figure out for years now. Well, Gina, at one point, my man wrote in and told us what the words were, but I know he said it and he says that's what the words are, but honest to God, that's not what I hear when I hear the song. So I don't even know what to tell him, but that's not what I be singing. Now I have made up a jingle that kind of makes sense, which I can try to play for y'all. But this is what makes sense to me. Chicken Shack Studios is Rick is the one that did it.
White people do exciting to the barbecue.
So I got White People News. We're bringing egg salad to the barbecue.
We might be problematic or little bit dim. The sun's really harsh.
And I have, what I say in my head is we might be problematic or Looney Tunes. The sun's really harsh on our fragile pink skin. Is White People News. I don't think those are the words because he wrote in once with what the words are. And I was like, well, that's not what the fuck it say to me. And so it'll always be, we might be problematic and Looney Tunes. And that's what I'm sticking with. And maybe you can say might be problematic and Looney Ticks. That'll work as well for me, but
yeah, Looney Ticks, I can see that.
Exciting to the barbecue, we might be problematic. Or little bit dim, the sun's really hard.
So yeah, that's what I'm rolling with. You don't like it? Record it over and give me some better diction, because and he gave it to us for free, so I'm taking what I get.
Mm-hmm.
And look, art is not up to the artist when she put it out in the world.
It's still a bop.
Yep. All right. The episode comments on YouTube. BGR Bridget says Karen got in her bag around the 1 hour and 4 minute mark, pours a drink. Ghost Azul says that's what I'm here for. Of course. That was Karen talking about voting. GXN32 says, damn, Rod, let Karen get all her banter out. All right. My bad. The Q&A and the polls. All right, so the poll was Jay-Z's Grammy speech. Good look or bad look? 91% of our audience thinks it's a good look. 9% thinks it's a bad look. And almost the exact same percentage on Spotify, 90%, 10%. So I think if you get, there's very few things in the world you can get 90% of people to go be on your side for.
Right.
So I think, the vast majority of people thought that shit was a good look. And the reasons why people think it's a bad look can vary. Some people say, oh, you look like you want acceptance. Some people think, why would you go on their stage and embarrass them at their event? And why you got to be more grateful? So I think the detractors are all over the place, but the people that support it, I think, kind of has some empathy and understanding.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to bring it to the court, or will you go home crying to your mom like you did last time? I'm not sorry, Brittany. That was the Q&A. Sid says, Luke has been crazy about Tracy since freshman year at App. That was a highlight for me. Album of the year is beneath Beyonce at this point. They need a Transcend Time Award. Honestly, I really do think they're going to give Beyonce for sure some type of lifetime shit at some point.
I think they are too.
It'll be interesting what her speech is. If she don't never win Album of the Year and then they give her some type of icon of the world shit. And I don't think Beyonce would do a speech like Jay did. She just don't get that energy. Everything with her is so prepared. But I think she seemed to be digging that Jay-Z did that shit though. And I'm gonna be honest, fuck what everybody else say. If I'm married to Beyonce and I get up there and say something that make her look at me like that, I'll do it 100 times out of 100. Fuck all y'all. She had that look. I said, oh yeah, I'll be up. I would have went further than Jay. I would have been out there like, and suck my dick, Grammys. Oh, and I'm naming names. Beck album was trash.
Y'all ain't never played that Beck album since.
Now, Beyonce, baby, let's get out of here. Fuck this. I kicked the table over and shit.
Turn shit over.
Piss in that cup. Get in the driver. Get in the limo. Pull up the partition, please. You don't want to see Beyonce on her knees, nigga, please. Y'all know, fuck the whole world. Tyler said,
hilarious.
What does this sound like? Why does it sound like she getting ready to dance battle in the club or something? Right? Brittany sound like she about to start doing that rap from what was the name of that it's a movie I loved when I was a kid and now I can't think of it. She sounded like she was about to do this white girl rap from this old movie that I used to watch all the time, and now I'm drawing a blank in this very moment. But I used to have it memorized.
Are you remember the rap?
No, I used to have. I'm drawing a huge blank right now.
No problem.
But God, that was my shit. But it was this white girl. It was a rap in the middle of a movie not about rap, and she just bust out this rap, and it was like an old school like supersonic. I'm like, why can't I remember it? Anyway, Sandy says dying. Maybe she meant court of Twitter with her crazy fans. And Young Yogi says, Karen, have you tried Lane Break on Peloton? I was shocked how much I like that program. It feels very gamery and simple, but I always walk away feeling like great with a good sweat.
You said Lane Break?
Lane Break.
Lane?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll write it down.
Yeah. I wonder what. Yeah, I didn't know there were games on there you could do like that. But Karen, to her credit, did do the Peloton a couple times this week. Now look, this ain't new. This is the routine. I say you haven't used it in 12 months. Maybe we should get rid of it. She pretends to want to use it for like a week, and then it goes back to 12 months and not hopping on it. And I'm paying $50 every month to not to just have it in my house. I've been going to the gym and instead paying my membership there, and then all this other stuff I'm doing. So we'll see if it continues, just quietly. One day some people will show up and get it, and Karen's gonna pretend to be so upset and then never use it again. So,
somebody said the movie called Teen Witch.
Yes, it was Teen Witch. Yes. Oh my God. That's what Brittany sounded like. She was about to rap Top That. What she said, do you want to bring it to the court? Or will you go home to your mom like you did last time? I'm not sorry. That seems like she was about to drop motherfucking Top That, which was amazing. I gotta look up the lyrics. Top That. Yeah. Apparently I've looked this up before because
auto search Top That.
It really was. It was purple like a motherfucker. Like, yo, this your shit. Yeah, supersonic, idiotic, disconnected, not respected. Who would ever really want to go and top that? Such a waste of pretty face, but hanging out your know what space. Yeah, this is my shit.
Hilarious.
Do you really want to go and top that? Top that? Yeah, top that. Oh man, I'll probably get some type of copyright strike if we played it on the show. But
right.
This was my shit. This was my shit, dog. Oh, and it just came out of nowhere in that movie. It was like no one was expecting or wanted that. And then she was just rapping, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm into this." All right, so then we go to the final episode of the week. Take my L in the dark. 6 comments. Mary says, I'm not surprised that Zoom firing its DEI team. Our law firm prides itself on being a woke firm, but I have not seen the DEI needle move in any substantive way, even after George Floyd. Yes, we have a committee, diversity library, informative newsletters, and really outstanding Black History Month lunches, but we do not have more Black and brown attorneys. In fact, we usually only have one Black attorney at a time, but they eventually leave because to make any sustainable change, you must have an infrastructure that fosters a true inclusive environment and demonstrates you are invested in their careers. For us, It's like, well, we hired our one, that's enough. Who would stay? They don't. In 2021, a Black entertainment attorney who was named one of Hollywood's top 100 attorneys by the Hollywood Reporter left a prominent boutique firm and started his own damn firm. His name is first and his vision is one of inclusivity, giving back, and civic engagement. As his partner says, a firm with different energy. I'm all for it and feel like Black and brown folk really just have to make our own because ain't no one coming to save us. I agree. And this sucks because, I mean, I feel like it mostly sucks for the people that believe in these initiatives and shit. But there's such a limit to these initiatives because at the end of the day, when these people they go, we want to hear you. We want this and we want that. But what they really want is for you to say, you're already doing so good. You're perfect. You don't need to change anything. If anything, we put up a couple posters and just about how good you're doing and how good we are. And you go right back to keeping business the way it was. But the second you go in there and be like, well, first thing, y'all need to put some Black people in charge of some shit. They're like, whoa. You fired. Shoe Booty says,
yep, because what happened is they actually a lot of times don't want your opinion. They want your
approval.
Presence. They want your presence. And your presence means more to them than them actually giving you power, giving you authority, giving you the right to execute shit. Your presence, because that to them, that's the part of the diversity. Being able to put you in the photo.
To say we have a DEI department.
Right.
But also, though, they want your approval. Your presence means approval. Like, they're here, so we're doing a good job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They don't want your actual, like, there's the things you need to work on to be doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, no, that's work. That's stuff no. And it's not stuff that necessarily directly impacts the bottom line in the way that we look at it.
Right.
So why the fuck would we do that?
Right. And for a lot of businesses, they go, why would we do it? Because, like I say, you either saving the money or making the money. And in their mind, that's a waste of money for them to actually benefit from it years later. They're like, we ain't in the business of trying to benefit from shit years later. Like, we do this and maybe, we keep grinding maybe 3 to 5 to 10 years from now, we'll see the fruits of the benefits of our labor. And they're like, oh, we ain't trying to wait that long. And this shit isn't that really important to us. And that's why I said the other day, companies are not a person. And there's a lot of companies that did not do this shit and never had to deal with the backlash of it because they would just kept it real. They was like, we a company, we do business shit. We're not trying to pretend and or front.
All right. Shoe Booty says, wow, so high amounts of caffeine and stimulants are bad for kids? No shit. My kid is always begging to drink Prime or the Panera Def Lemonade, and it's hard no for me. Right. She'll be like, but so-and-so drinks Prime and he's fine. As a parent, I have some authority over your body and what you can eat and drink for a reason. That shit isn't even good for adults, but we have the decision-making skills to weigh the pros and cons of the garbage we put into our bodies. The fuck does an 8-year-old need more energy for? You're made of energy.
Right.
Appia says exactly. The challenge is to get the kids tired in the evening, not to make them even more energetic. I don't get why they would need any energy drinks. I wonder if parents ever use it for the crash. Well, they be like, give them the energy drink. Them motherfuckers gonna die by the time it's 6 o'clock.
They might literally die with those, so no.
Ramsey D. Jenkins says, I'm not a fan of D.L. Hewley, but baby, he said what he said about Monique. I've enjoyed all the episodes this week, 5 stars. Yeah, I know the Monique shit is gonna always be extremely polarizing. But in that one instance with D.L. Hewley, I understand how he's at the place he's at with her. And there's no amount of revisionist history that is going to change how far she took the shit with his daughter and that sexual assault stuff. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because it's a personal attack towards him.
Yeah,
right.
People can feel how they feel. Even with him, like at this point, even if he's making jokes about her weight or something like that, which I think is fucked up, but I understand it's a beef, and she was talking about his fucking dead puppy and all this shit. So like, both of them are hitting below the belt on purpose. Mm-hmm. But there's something about, I understand. I have understanding for how they've reached this point and how he's like, fuck it, you know. That being said, I did go listen to I'm still not done. I got like 30 minutes to go because it's like 3 hours. But I did go listen to most of it. I talked about it on the pregame. I actually put the pregame out as our Just a Tip this week. So if people want to hear my in-depth thoughts about watching it, Karen hadn't watched it, Justin hadn't watched it in its entirety. But if people want to hear my in-depth thoughts about it, that's where they are. I don't feel so hardcore about the like the people that are really out there on some like, she just need to shut the fuck up and she just making everything worse and why won't she let this go? Listening to her in the context of that interview, I totally feel different about it at this point. In that if she is comfortable with the shit as it is, and whether she is, you want to label her as angry, bitter, whatever, I'm not saying she's not. I'm just saying from her perspective and what she explained, I can see that those things will make somebody angry. The experiences she's had in Hollywood, I can see how that will make somebody bitter. I don't think she's doing this to play the game the best and win, which is what most people on the outside looking in are assuming, which is like, why don't you just do the things that people who play this game and get to the top do? Because you have the talent to be at the top. And she and her husband have decided she's going to play the game her way. And she has to live with her own integrity and truth. And that means doing a bunch of shit nobody else would advise you to do, like saying people's names when you have an issue with somebody. Everybody else talks about the issues of Hollywood, but they're pretty vague. It's, you know, one time a director had me film a scene and I felt uncomfortable, but they don't come out and say, and that director was Spike Lee, because they know that that's the taboo. That's what you don't do. And on a deeper philosophical level, and this is projection and or whatever, like this is me guessing because I don't know. And I've never talked to her, interviewed her. I don't even know if she sees it this way. But I came away from that interview thinking, because I've never really heard her talk about the trauma with her family before. And I think a person who was violated by their brother, I believe, which is a figure in your life that's supposed to protect you and that you should always be able to trust. So somebody violates you as a child for years, and then the other figures in your family don't do anything to really, or didn't do enough to protect you. A person existing with that level of trauma is going to have trust issues and has seen some things from a perspective many people have not.
Agreed.
And so to get into a business that is as manipulative as Hollywood is, to have a man in Sydney who, whether you agree with his methods or not, seems to, at least to her, always put her first and always put her protection first, regardless of how that looks. Like, her protection to some may feel unreasonable. Like protection to him and her is some like, well, if you don't want to do it, you shouldn't have to do it. And that's the end of it. And I'm going to be the person that's sitting right beside you telling people you ain't doing it. And when the rest of the Hollywood and everybody else that's a third party is like, this is a horrible way to do business. And well, then you know this isn't going to work. You know this is going to mess up your further business opportunities. You know there's going to be consequences for this. He'll sit right there in the fire with you and be like, yeah, she's willing to pay that price, and we'll put all y'all on blast and burn the whole world down to make sure that she feels protected. And in this way, in my opinion, like I said, I don't know them. This is all third party conjecture and all that stuff. So understand that. So you ain't got to write in and be like, that's not how I see it. This is just me telling you how I found balance with it. I think whatever the price to pay for having a dude like that do your business and be in the corner, she's willing to pay that price happily. And he's willing to accept her as his only client or whatever, as we're a team, we're a partnership, and we don't care how it looks to anybody else. We aren't keeping the secrets. We aren't keeping anything private, and we aren't letting people off the hook. And I think the biggest thing that really informed my point of view and kind of made me soften my stance on the whole thing was when she talked about working with Lee Daniels again. Now, I know there's two ways to view that as, oh, Lee Daniels, apologized and worked with her and she got money and a job out of it. So he basically got manipulated into like helping her out. And if you want to view it that way, you can. That's a valid way for you to view it. But I saw a person that let it go. Like, because to me, the whole time I've always thought like, yeah, she says all this shit, but if these people come to the table and she's doing all that sweet baby love shit and my sweet babies and I love you, sister, and all that stuff, I'm like, yeah, but if Oprah comes to her and says, I'm sorry, and, I really like to make amends, and what can we do? Can we work something together? To me, I always was like, yeah, but then Monique, she'll just move the goalposts again because she's still mad at that woman. And there's, you can't undo shit that you did just because you apologize. But the way she kind of like talked about Lee Daniels and working with him and how she don't bring up shit with him no more, I mean, from what I've seen, that's facts. So then it made me wonder, like, if you were Kevin Hart, Tyler Perry, or Oprah, what would happen if you did reach out, But and the final thing I'll say too is like, I can't imagine the betrayal you feel because she put Oprah on a pedestal coming up as like a role model and an icon for her. Tyler Perry seems like, at least if whatever because Oprah and Tyler Perry and Kevin Hart aren't going to ever put out their version of events, we have to just assume whatever. We don't know what they would say. My guess is that they all have their own reasoning and possibly even valid perspectives for why they feel like they did what they did.
Agreed.
Because I really don't think it's weird because she's the only one talking. We're mostly going to take her side, especially on a place like Shannon Sharp's show where it's not going to be much pushback. And also I want to say I have a lot more respect for Shannon Sharp's show, not just because of this episode, but I get it at this point. I don't think he became a better interviewer or had better questions than he did with Cat Williams or any of that shit. I don't think that's true. I really just think here's a place for people to get their truth out and no one's going to push back and really question it. and it's gonna be like a conversation you overhear at Thanksgiving or something between your uncle and your auntie. And if that's what the fuck it is, that's just what it is. And he never said he was doing something different than that. So it's either you tune in and you hear him be messy and antiquated and act like a bird for 3 hours with whoever he's talking to, or you don't. But it's not like you can be disappointed. He keeping the same energy. It's not rigorous fact checking or none of this shit. If it was rigorous fact checking at a news show, same thing with Cat Williams, same thing with Monique. Maybe 10 minutes of that shit airs because you got to reach out to all them people. You got to confirm dates. You got to get evidence for everything. Audio recording that they say is Tyler Perry. You got to prove something like it's a lot of shit that might not have got aired, but Shannon gonna let you air it or whatever. He gonna put it out there for the folks and let you judge for yourself, and that's important space. But yeah, we'll never hear what Oprah and them probably have to say about it, but I think there's probably valid reasons they can feel the way they feel. If it was unheard of for somebody to ask for money to do promotion at cons or whatever, if it was unheard of at the time, it's not crazy for them to be like, no, what? Why are you doing this? No one else is doing this. Everyone else is out there promoting their movie except us. We look stupid. The company that Lionsgate looks stupid. You're fucking it up for everybody. And even to some extent, they may feel, hey, you wouldn't do this if I was a white person. You know, we never really heard Monique go in on like the white executives and the actual companies that have blacklisted her. And, you know, it's been Oprah, Tyler Perry, it's been Kevin Hart. It hasn't been like this motherfucker that work at Miramax or whatever. At least from what we've seen, it doesn't seem to be the same vitriol. But maybe that's because it don't feel like a betrayal when it's coming from these white folks. Maybe, I don't know, or maybe the white folks have been better to her. I don't know. But I think when you're talking about the Parkers and not getting your residuals and your money from the Parkers, that's not Oprah and Tyler Perry. There's some names that could be named there, I'm sure. But maybe we just don't know them or whatever. Anyway, I know it's kind of rambling, but I definitely think watching it, put it in a different perspective, I have a lot more understanding of her point of view of it. And this is something that I pride myself in. It's something I had to say to Justin because we were doing pregame and he was talking about like, you know, man, well, you got to get over it. You got to do this. And I reminded him of a time when he was mad about something with another dude that I knew, that we both knew. And I was like, I never told you get over it. I never told you to get over it. You're my friend. You were mad at this person for months. And you put your foot down and you said, until this person does this, this, and this, fuck them. And I didn't go, well, shit, I don't think we could be friends. You know what I mean? Like I acknowledged that that's how he worked, and he never held it against me that I was like, I'm not saying fuck that guy. You know what I mean? But I hear what you're saying. But yeah, I get it, and I get where you're coming from. And yeah, I'm never gonna push you towards some type of reconciliation or whatever. And eventually, that dude did end up apologizing and all the shit. And I wouldn't say they're cool, but you know, Justin was able to let it go a little bit. But you can't push somebody to let something go when they feel like they've validly been slighted, and they don't want to get over it. And especially if they know the consequences and they decided to deal with them.
Right, because that's their choice.
Yeah. And so I think that's where Monique seems flat-footed. She doesn't seem delusional to me. She recognizes that it's a cost. And I think also when you're immensely talented as she is, especially as an actress, she's got where she's at by standing, 10 toes down. So now we telling her not to do it, and I don't think she's gonna do it, because if she was the kind of person that got along to get along, I don't think she'd even be Monique. I don't think she'd be who she is. She wouldn't be the star she is, or the celebrity or the figure that she is, or have the type of content she has and the talent that she has if she was the person that capitulated, So yeah, I'm sorry, one more thing. I've never heard about her being unprofessional on a set. So that's another thing that like I know people making comparisons. They'll be like, you know, she brought up Melissa McCarthy as a comparison or whatever. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Talent wise and the ability to do the roles, people act like it's such a different talent level, but Monique got the full package of talent. She really is just a fucking star. But my personal belief, once again, projection, understand, guys, this ain't facts. I don't have no evidence for this other than just anecdotal evidence from just me looking at the shit the way y'all look at it. I personally believe the business end is what fucks shit up. Sydney does the business for her. And whether he's promising things or just saying like, because you are you're gonna get something different than other people, or whether he's like so adamant when she is done wrong, like he's a fighter. She said she got rid of her first people because she needed some fucking fighters. He is a fighter, and that the business seems to be the part that gets fucked up and turns personal. Like it's always like the contract isn't understood the right way. You know, like I don't know if it's not a boilerplate contract, it's a specific contract for you. Is he not emphasizing enough? Whatever, but it's always seemed to be some money or some contractual shit that he's like, we're not doing it the way everybody else does it. And then after that happens, it becomes a he said, she said, and then fuck that person, they did me wrong. And so part of me wonders how much of that is just like on him and the business end. And that's not, I'm not taking away her agency. If she says she wants those things and she wants you to contractually negotiate it and the industry's like, hell no, well then I guess me and my agent gonna be fighting everybody. That seems to be the cycle that I've seen repeat, at least in those stories she was given. And then once that happens within that industry, man, whether it's Tyler Perry whisper campaign or saying she was difficult to work with, or whether it's white executives being like, shut this shit down. I heard she was difficult to work with. We don't want to deal with her agent or whatever, because them agents play power games. They got their people and shit that they work with in the companies. Like it's you know, even though wars is normally not a merit thing, it's a who pulled the string. So I feel like if all those things I just talked about were happening at the same time, it adds up to what we see Monique go through. And that's not me giving her no advice or saying she need to change anything. I saw a person that was resolute, that seemed completely, to me, did not seem delusional. Did not, like she seemed, I know what I'm saying. I know how I feel. I know how it looks. But this is how they did me, and I'm not backing down. And I don't know what to say about that other than, okay, good for you. You know? And if y'all, like, maybe people took different things away from it. I think a lot of people didn't even watch it. I think the clips don't do it justice. But, yeah, man, I those are the components of what I think at least I came away with. This is a person that has a betrayal trauma from a childhood, and this is how they exist in the world. And if you're not riding or dying with her, then either get out the way or shut the fuck up. Because that's how I think her and Sydney been navigating this shit. You know, even the stuff with DL where she's like, he talked about me in the past. The stuff he said to me wasn't inflammatory or crazy. Like I saw a clip from DJ Vlad or something, but he did talk about her. And I think she's very much like, then don't talk about me. Like, then stay the fuck out the way. You know, Steve Harvey tried to help her on his TV show for content, but he tried to help her as a friend and all this shit. She already know how she feels. She's not asking for advice on how to be successful. She may be upset. She may feel and be validly feel possibly that she ain't get the money and the accolades and the things she deserve from her career because these motherfuckers wouldn't just accept her as she is. She may feel that way. It's not your job to fix it. I think what Shannon did on that couch was important because he never tried to fix it.
Right.
And I think that's why they never hit loggerheads, because he wasn't being like that. Even though she tried to fix him in his dating, you know, but that's another thing. All right. Sorry. EVE goes on and says, Vinland Saga was a bit of a struggle for me in some parts, but the animation was beautiful. I definitely watched the 3rd season. Some anime recs you may enjoy is Hell's Paradise and Blue Lock. Those are 2 of my faves. Yeah, everyone recommends Blue Lock, the soccer one. Hell's Paradise I just added on my Crunchyroll, so I'll check that out. I started Solo Leveling today. Oh my Jesus, that shit. Them first 3 episodes. Oh my God. Okay. I think they got one of them ones, y'all. I know One Piece is a lot to tackle, but they are remaking it without all the filler episodes, and that may be a good time to check it out if you're so inclined. Yeah, I hope it's kind of like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where they kind of made it better when they did Brotherhood than the original version, in my opinion. So maybe I'll jump on that One Piece, but right now it's gonna be the no. It's such an amazing anime in terms of world building. Tyrese is still a clown. Christian says, I think my theory about the younger generation not having sex in this pandemic of loneliness is also a pushback against porn culture and the standards that are expected in sex. I think a lot of boys and men are growing up with insane expectations of what sex is and what is expected in sex. I've seen a lot of women in the younger generation push back against this. Like, there's an expectation for casual anal sex, which is wild. Also, there's some more growth and expectations of earning sex versus expected sex. There's a big divide between the genders and expectations and needs, which leads to a desire to avoid sex in real life. Also, the vile things that some of these men are saying online is extremely off-putting. The incel culture is rising. That's how we get all the chronically online men laughing at the swift rape AI pictures. I don't know. I don't think you're wrong. Those stuff contributes as well. I think pandemic of loneliness is not a generational thing. No, that's not just a young people thing. That's everybody.
Yes.
So, but I would also say the porn culture thing isn't a young people thing. I think that's an everybody thing. I don't think these grown ass people that if they think that is how people have sex and not just like thinking porn is how you're supposed to have sex, to me is like thinking wrestling is how you're supposed to fight people.
Right? It ain't the same.
Like, I promise you, Janet Jackman is fucking these 7 guys under some pretty so there's a lot of rules and shit that's happening.
It's a controlled environment.
Yeah, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. In a controlled environment with a lot of other stuff that's happening.
Right, and some shit go left.
Yeah, but
people can be like, stop, cut.
Or just whatever. But if you show up at a 7-man gangbang, it's not gonna look like that. Okay? It's gonna be real human people with roles and jiggling and getting out of shape and a bunch of shit. It's not. So I think, yeah, if people are, maybe young people would be impressionable enough to think that's real, but I don't know, man. I think when people say stuff like watching Euphoria is like, that's real. That's what kids are going through today. That ain't porn, but it's pretty fucking dark. And if the kids are relating to that, that says a lot about a lot of shit. So yeah, I don't think what you said is not a factor. I think all that stuff adds into it. Comments on the YouTube. No comments for this one. The poll. Did you watch all 3 hours of Monique on Club Shay Shay? 50% say no. 50% say no. Basically the same on we'll get to Spotify in a second. 50% say no. 23% watched all of it. 3% watched some of it. 23% just watched the clips that are circulating. That's where I was at first, and I'm glad I watched all of it. I'm still not done, so I guess I'm still at some of it, but I will finish it. But watching it all, it did affect my opinion. But I guess I never had that hard of an opinion one way or the other this whole time, but it affected my opinion somewhat. And then similar on Spotify, only 10% watched all of it. 6% watched some of it, 30% watched the clips, and 53% did not watch it at all. And then the Q&A was take my L and was 3 of Negroes. Chris says Team DL. He's one of the smartest comedians that has decades in the game. His take on Chris Rock and Will Smith slapping him was the only point of view I could tolerate because he knows them both. Yeah, there's a lot of people that love DL, especially in the podcast and social media space. And I tried to emphasize on this. I'm not that big on DL either. I feel like all these motherfuckers got their flaws, and DL to me is still a very like black man centric dude, and his blind spots aren't there. Like I remember him defending Columbus Short's domestic violence against his wife at one point. That like the fact that you immediately jump to that, and I don't know what you went through with your own wife and family and ex-wife and all that shit, but that is telling when that is the thing you think is the point of view to talk about. The way he goes in on Kamala Harris feels very much like it's a black woman, and he has some issues with black women, in my opinion. Even the Monique shit, that's why a lot of people are taking Monique's side, despite how far she went, is because it's no longer about balls and strikes, right and wrong. It's just, I don't like him, and he's said and done fucked up shit in the past, and so I'm not gonna even give him the empathy or humanity about his daughter and all that. I'm not gonna do it because I don't like him. But I'm just trying to be fair, and I'm not Team DL in general, just because Team DL implies some level of like, this dude is so on point, and I don't find him to be so on point. He's on point sometimes. If it's something that's just about racism, he's normally 100% valid and factual.
Agreed.
Once you start throwing black women in it, he gets real dicey to me, and I think that is informed by whatever his opinions on black women must be. Projecting, but that's what I come away with. Magnificent Breeze says, Karen reminds me of my auntie, that the way she be saying shit and expecting you to understand. Jason Mimosa, Giuliani, what had me laughing out loud at work. Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like I'm partially Karen translator on here, because she also skips steps sometimes when she's talking about stuff and jumps past like explaining it, and then I have to be like, okay, so what she's saying is this, because I know listeners might be confused by that. Some of y'all might get it, but some for the ones that don't, it's like, oh, she's talking about this other movie. So we weren't talking about that, but these are the steps. Dizzy Lizzie says, yes, Karen, I too like to take most of my L's in silence. I thank God every day that smartphones didn't exist like that in my formative years.
Me too.
I was out here acting up.
Me too. So glad cell phones wasn't around, particularly the ones that recorded.
Roger says, oh, no more Spotify for podcaster ads. # during Black History Month. Yeah, they ended it in 4 days. No more Spotify. It'll still be ads, but you won't be hearing our lovely voices and skits.
Yeah, the ones that we creatively come up with every month.
Yeah. That sucks.
Right. We had a good time putting them together.
They should make an exception for us. You know, we were probably the only podcast
that were doing it creative, right?
Everybody else just reads the Spotify for podcasters. Hey, would you like to? We were out here giving y'all art. We were artistes.
We were acting.
Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. We got to get into the voicemails. So let's do that.
Cook that up, bro.
All right. Got 4 voicemails. Let's check them out. Blue Wave Rider is first.
Hey, is this WROD Radio? Rod and Karen in the evening time? Listen up. I'm calling to make a request. Seeing as how it's Black History Month, do you think that sometime for the month is out, you could hit us up with that Chadwick Boseman tribute? Since he played all the black roles on all the black movies. That would be really cool. Thanks. Bye.
I got y'all. Let me see if I can pull it up.
I'm pretty sure.
This is okay. So I got it. This is the thing. For those that haven't been listening,
right
back when Chadwick was still with us, 2016, I had a running joke about how Chadwick Boseman was always playing black historical figures. He played Jackie Robinson.
Yes, he did.
Then he played Thurgood Marshall. And so my joke was Chadwick Boseman should play everybody. in Black History, and then I think I was
Yes.
doing his voice as
Huh.
like the Black Panther.
Yes.
This is not a great impression of Chadwick
It's
Boseman,
hilarious.
but it was very fun for me to do. So here we go.
In a world where Black history is outlawed, one man has to be all the historical Black people throughout time to teach his class what it means to have Black history. Starring Chadwick Boseman as Martin Luther King Jr. I have a dream. And Chadwick Boseman as George Washington Carver. Behold the peanut. Also starring Chadwick Boseman as Harriet Tubman. I can't die but once. And also starring Chadwick Boseman as Sojourner Truth. Ain't I a woman? Introducing Chadwick Boseman as Malcolm X. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Starring Chadwick Boseman as Rosa Parks. No. Featuring Chadwick Boseman as Leon Robinson in the 5 Heartbeats. Don't you want to hang with old Eddie Kane? Starring Chadwick Boseman as Michael Jordan. I don't take pictures with niggas. And also Chadwick Boseman as Oprah Winfrey. You get a car. Then Chadwick Boseman as Little Richard. A wop bop a loop bop a lop bam boom. Chadwick Boseman as Marion Barry. Bitch set me up. Co-starring Chadwick Boseman as Beyonce. You must not know about me. Introducing Chadwick Boseman as LeBron James. I'm taking my talents to South Beach. Chadwick Boseman will also have to be Snoop Dogg. Fuck Shizzle. And Chadwick Boseman as that one nigga who bagged your groceries down at the grocery store. Would that be paper or plastic? Then Chadwick Boseman will be Queen Latifah. Who you calling a bitch? And as a revelation coming to the screen, as only Chadwick Boseman can do it, he'll also be Karen Morrow. We need empathy and sympathy. And finally, Chadwick Boseman will be you. Damn, this nigga and everything. Coming to BET this fall. Make sure you watch Black History, the movie. Black History.
I forgot how hilarious that was.
I honestly did too. It's been so long since
That's
I've listened to
fucking
it.
hilarious.
Oh man. All right. Let's go to the next voicemail. This is from Toy.
Hey, Rod and Karen. Love you guys' show. It's Toy. So I'm calling because in your last episode, you were talking about the victim assistance programs and stuff. And, you know, I'm getting my master's in public administration. I just got an A on my paper on a case study about the victims assistance program in Chicago.
Ooh.
And you're absolutely right that it's definitely biased. It's in a part of their bylaws and the rules that if the victim who was killed or harmed had any past criminal history, doesn't matter what it was, they automatically disqualify from getting any assistance for like funeral costs. But the other thing that I thought was very interesting is the families only get reimbursed up to $5,000 and it's reimbursed. So the families have to come up with the money to bury, cremate, you know, whatever they decide to do to honor their family members first. Then they submit the receipts and the paperwork. And then maybe, just maybe, they'll get the money back or they'll get reimbursed. But a lot of them are being denied. And, you know, I did this case study in Chicago. We know how, you know, how many people are dying in Chicago due to gun violence and stuff like that. So, you know, these families are putting money on credit cards and doing fish fries and GoFundMe's and hoping that they're going to be able to get the money back, and then they're being like pretty much automatically denied. So it's definitely true, and it's definitely unfair and a bunch of bullshit. Love you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Bye.
Thanks, Toy. Yeah, Toy works in that whole environment. And yeah, it's interesting too because there was something in there and it made me wonder when we read it. I was like, why did they bring up the GoFundMe? But I guess they're saying like if you have a GoFundMe and we done gave you some money or something, you gotta pay that back. Like we gave you $5,000, but then your GoFundMe raised $6,000. You owe us $5,000. That's crazy. And yeah, the fact that it's disproportionately affecting Black people, not surprising, but very disgusting. Mm-hmm. Amon left us 2 voicemails.
Hey, Rod. Hey, Karen. It's Iman. I'm just listening to a very old feedback show back from January. I think it's episode 2846. But I just wanted to call in and say I appreciate, it wasn't really pushback. It was just like you were just restating what you were talking about with the whole Joy Coy and the Oscar situation and him, quote unquote, bombing. And the person who called in was like, oh, he's not funny. And to me, I was just like, I don't know. I took offense to it. I was like, no, he is funny. I was just like, just saying he's not your brand of Hispanic comedy is not your cup of tea. I was like, I don't understand why more people don't say that when it comes to comedians instead of just saying, oh, they're not funny, to say, I didn't particularly find that joke funny or their comedy just isn't my cup of tea. Because it's like, people could say that about any and every comedian under the sun. It's like, there's plenty of comedians who my husband finds funny. I'm just like, I don't particularly find them funny. It's like, and that's okay that you find them funny. It's just like, I just wouldn't go to their show. It's like, me and my sister go back and forth about certain people all the time. It's like, no, they're just not funny to me, or yeah, they're funny to me. Just like, I don't know why people don't just say that. But yeah, that's all I was calling in for. But I appreciate you reiterating the point of, it's not about whether you find it funny or not. It's about a bigger picture thing around comedy. All right. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, because I just try to call balls and strikes, and funny is subjective. And I just think we've got to a point now, nobody agrees on what's funny. Everybody's got their take and everybody's got their point of view. And partially because we don't have as many gatekeepers, what your specific point of view is all that matters to funny, because there's so much content.
Yes.
You know, I don't know anybody that thinks the same shit is funny anymore. Sometimes I hit up JL Covan because you know, he's one of the few people I know that still watches a lot of specials. And normally if I've watched a special, he will at least have watched it or heard about it.
Right.
And I'll hit him up when I think something is funny, and sometimes when something isn't funny. And, you know, I have a lot of respect for his comedic opinion, but even we don't always agree, you know, because it's like it's subjective to everybody. Everyone's looking at it for different things. I thought Pete Davidson's special was funny. But also I don't live in a world where like Pete Davidson is being treated as like a wonderkid that, you know, that is, you know, like blowing past everybody else's career because is that I'm just looking at that's not a thing for me. Right. I just was like, I showed up, I would like to laugh, and I thought he said the things that made me laugh. And I don't know if people are treating it like it's transcended or I don't know anything about that shit. Don't care. But I also used to laugh. Like, I thought Adam Sandler's comedy albums, you could not tell me there was anything funnier than this motherfucker. And I know if I go back and listen to him, I'll be like, well, I must have just been 19 or whatever. But I had that shit memorized. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, love that shit. I had that shit memorized. Me and my friends would act out those skits whenever we saw each other. I still have a friend that calls me up to this day and does Fatty McGee walking up the stairs, and we both cry, real tears come out of our eyes. But I feel like it's so subjective now that I need to exist in a level of reality, as I'm always fighting to do. And so y'all hear it on the show. I don't say shit like Kevin Hart ain't funny. I don't say shit like that, because I really be thinking to myself, like, if I don't like your stand-up, that's fine. I'm not even saying I don't like your stand-up, right? But let's say I don't like his stand-up. There's a fucking stadium of people. Right. What am I trying to prove? That I'm better than the stadium of people? It's either reality or not. It's like, I don't like Chris Paul's basketball style. I don't come on here and be like, he ain't good. That's how I feel like people are now. Chris Rock was fucking Chris Rock, and I have people, he was never funny. That's an insane thing to say to me.
Right.
You don't have to like it, but he was that nigga at the top of the game.
Mm-hmm.
He was. It was what it was.
Right.
Eddie Murphy. Now I think people like the specials because of what it says about them.
Yes.
And I think that's the part I pull up short on, because I'm like, I never liked the comedian because of what it said. I'm not saying that's what this person that wrote in said, but I never liked the comedian because of what it said about me.
Mm-mm.
To me and you give props where they're due.
Yes, and I think I know I view comedy very differently. I do not think comedians have to say jokes and say shit in the premises that every fiber of my being has to be 100% in lock with you. You can joke about shit that I don't have to be.
Did you do the job?
Right. And the job at the end of the day for me is to make me laugh. I
Right.
don't have all these extra things happening and all these.
Well, I'll take it further. Not just to make me laugh, to make people laugh. Right? Because I might not laugh.
Agreed.
But if I look around, everybody else laughing, you did the job, and all I can say is I don't like it. I'm not gonna say you're not funny.
Right. Like I said, it's not my jam.
I don't subscribe to the you can't punch down shit, because it's not true.
It's not true.
Seen niggas punch down and people loved it.
Yes, sir.
We've all seen it. So why am I gonna pretend that it's not real? But yeah, you might not feel Joe Coy. I feel you. I haven't checked out a stand-up like that. I'm not telling you gotta like it. But I remember other comedians that I saw this happen to. Russell Peters was one where I heard his stand-up album and was like, this nigga is funny. And then once I saw people on the internet, they hate him. And I'm like, well, you can't tell by his fucking bank account if you hate him. Right. So my man Fluffy, Iglesias,
making a fucking killing all across the he's been doing tours and all types of shit, man.
Yeah, it's just and I guess that's part of the game. You get big enough as an institution, people feel like they can take shots at you, and it should be fine because you're already an institution. So like me not liking George Lopez ain't hurting his pockets in no way. If that's the kind of person I am, I don't like him or whatever. But yeah, for me, I think I still kind of look at comedy almost the way I look at sports, where I can begrudgingly give somebody their things and be like, yeah, you packed out that room and you made those people laugh, and I got to give it up to you.
And that was the job.
Because that's hard as fuck to do.
Yes.
And that's why I don't even talk about industry plants and shit, because you can't plant a motherfucker in the industry and make everybody in the world go, I'm going to go ahead and get these tickets. Like, if you're not funny to me, I'm never buying a ticket for your show. And it don't matter it don't matter how many people tell you that this nigga's great. I think people think these people are funny, and we just need to deal with, how do you feel about that? It bothers me how funny some people think Dave Chappelle's trans shit is. Cause I'm like, I mostly find the jokes to be beneath even him. Like, just cause I don't find them to be clever or funny, it sound like open mic jokes. But I'm not going to sit up here and be like, he's not a successful comedian, he's not a great comedian and all that shit, because I'll be lying to you.
Right.
I would be lying to you to tell you they didn't give him $20 million of fucking special to be, because nobody want to watch it. That's just not facts. She did call in again, so let's see what she said.
Yes, it's me again. Actually, no, another thing, because I was thinking about it, it's like, don't let JL Covan blow up. It's like, because the moment something goes wrong, people are going to be on the show, calling in, writing in, talking about, yeah, I never thought JL was funny. I don't even understand why y'all had him on the show. I'm like, y'all liars. You're liars. It's like, there are people who are funny. Some people find them funny. They blow up. Sometimes folks, it's like every comedian has a night where they bomb sometimes. It's like, his main thing is that he definitely should not have just the writers, because every comic usually needs writers at some point in time, because it's hard. It's hard to be funny, like, around the clock all the time. It's like sometimes a joke just doesn't work out. But okay, all right, I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna leave it alone. All right, love you guys. Bye.
Bye, sweetie.
Yeah, and comedy's just a hard job anyway, because everybody's always telling somebody they ain't funny, and comedians are obsessed with the people that don't think they're funny. They're always trying to win 100% of every room, just about.
And that's impossible.
Yeah, and it does a lot to your brain, man. Allegra left us 3 voicemails.
Okay.
Hello, Rod and Karen. It is Allegra. I am calling just randomly because I felt like I needed to share a thought, and the best place to share it in my immediate thought was to you guys. I'm catching up on my episodes of The Daily, and I'm on the one dated January 24th, which is talking about the GOP nomination. The title of it is The GOP Nomination is All But Over. And it's talking about New Hampshire and how Nikki Haley did very poorly there. And something struck for me. They're interviewing people in New Hampshire, and I'm going to make the assumption, which I feel like is a fair one, is it predominantly white-based, or at least the people being interviewed were.
Yes.
And one of the interviewees said something that really struck for me, which was, I'm going to write in Biden on my ballot because Nikki Haley didn't ask for my vote, meaning the way that she campaigned over New Hampshire was basically half-assed. You know, all these folks do this. They pick the states that they know they need the most impact, and then they really go hard on that instead of focusing on the country at large. And I get it. I know, the details, the logistics. I was going to get into a whole story about my history with voting, being in the bubble, privileged Californian, born and raised. But that will be a story for another time. But it struck for me because it was like, this is a whole other perspective. This is such a white privilege thing. I mean, I'm glad that the person is voting for Biden rather than Trump. But, it's a whole, you have to ask.
Yeah, cut off.
I mean, it's Allegra. You know this. Anyway, to my point. And it struck me, the whole asking for vote, because our history as Black people and our ancestors who fought for that vote are still fighting for that fucking vote. We have to fight. No one's fucking really asking us like they do in this half-ass, we need the Black people kind of way. And perhaps it's the same method as they do with white people, but for some reason it just hit me hard when I heard the ask for the vote thing. It was kind of like, what? This is a thing that this is your civic duty. This is the thing, you should be considering. And what if he was considering voting for Trump because Trump asked for his vote? I mean, clearly this is me taking a pill for a headache that's not there. I mean, again, the person's voting for Joe Biden or writing it in on his ballot, which is, we all know, can not make good results, but whatever. It was just frustrating, and I just went down this whole ancestry life, and my ancestors flashed before my eyes, and I was like, what about that? Yeah, and it just made me think about how fervent you guys are, and I love that energy, and I love that passion, and yeah, it just made me feel very it just struck white privilege to me. That's all. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.
Yep. And she called back one more time.
It's Allegra again. Sorry. I just wanted to make my thought more concise. I realized what I was truly angry about was what you guys have been saying all along is it's about feelings rather than about who the candidate is and whether they're worthy or whether they're qualified or whether they're good for the people at large. Voting is about feelings, and that's what it struck me when that person being interviewed said, they didn't ask for my vote. I'm just kind of like, yeah, but what do you do? Why does that matter? You want to use your civic duty to get the right person for the people in office. It's not about your fucking feelings. It's about what's good for the community at large, which is the United States of America. Okay, that's really all. Love you guys.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I really don't have anything to add to it. That's exactly how I feel. And I don't know, it's always kind of rang white to me, the privilege of being like, I don't need to, it needs to be about my feelings completely, this whole process. It always felt like a very, I don't know how to put it other than a white way to, a very privileged, not white, a very privileged way to view electoral politics is, well, if my feelings aren't completely satiated, there's no reason to truly acknowledge the dire peril that the world is going to be in.
Yeah, and also in my opinion, there's a lot of factors. Social media, just society has changed. You have the internet. Like, it's a lot of things that has happened over the course of the many, many, many decades of voting. You have, people at different economic levels who do not associate. You put it like this: you have people that are privileged, and in their quote unquote privileged perspective, they can think of things that are bigger than the economy and actually stick to those points and not really care about the consequences and the repercussions other than those things. Then you have people that are, their everyday life is directly impacted by the decisions that are impacted in the economy. And so their thing is, how is the economy doing? And that will make and break and determine how they vote. And you literally have these two subsections of people voting, in addition with social media, in addition with people finding their homes and finding their clique and being in their delusions on both sides on what they think the important things are. And also the cameras and the phones and shit point at us now. And so everything has told us that we are the most important thing that matters. And so if everybody thinks that they are the most important thing that matters, everything about me is the most important thing. The sun revolves around me as an individual person. So for a lot of people, if they're not aware of it, they're impacted by this. If somebody comes and say, I want your vote, a lot of people are going to be like, well, why? Why do you want my vote? You need to prove to me, you need to make me feel that since I think I'm the most important thing on the planet, you need to make me feel as though if I vote for you, that my vote means, quote unquote, means something. Versus looking at the totality, like she said, of society as a whole and America as a populace, it's about me. And so you have a lot of people who think it's only about them. And also, I heard the episode that she was talking about on the Daily, and not trying funny, these are people that are voting in the caucus. Most people do not vote in caucuses. I don't mean no harm. Most people don't. They just do not vote in them. They vote on like general elections and shit like this. They do not take the time to go and vote in caucuses. So for people that vote in these things, people that have voted in these things for decades, particularly in the place where the caucuses start, these people really think they're the most fucking important people in the whole world, because they go, we're Republicans and everything starts with us, and we are the place where the rest of the country actually looks at us. Media's here. Everything is about us. So of course, not trying funny, of course, a lot of these people feel like you need to ask for my vote. You need to tell me why my vote is the fucking most important if I'm going to cast my vote for you, particularly in the caucus type of situation.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. All right, this is one last segment. You know what it is. We gotta talk about the emails. Favorite beats. Heart 2 is the name of that. All right, let's talk about the emails. Hi, Rod and Karen. I'm Taz, my first time writing. Oh my fucking God, I love you too. I've been listening to you two for about a year now. I listen to you guys on the way to work every damn day faithfully, even on my off days. LOL, my kids even know when they in the car, it's Rod and Karen's time. Hi, kids.
Hey, kids, how y'all doing? I know y'all like, what's happening here?
But okay, so you know it's Black History Month. I'm a server. One of my coworkers, white woman, had a $200 walkout and they was black. But one of the black servers said as a joke, well, it is Black History Month. maybe they're getting their reparations. Sorry, it was funny, but the white woman said, "Wow, y'all need to y'all need to fuck it. I gotta get the fuck over it by now. It's been 1,000 years." I'm in my head, right? I'm in my right.
The nerves.
Yeah, how cool are y'all? How cool are y'all with this white server? Because I feel like that could be that's racist. But she said, I'm in my head thinking I've been with this company for 10 years, getting paid $2.33 an hour with tips. They make you step down from a shift lead to a server, and you getting paid $15 an hour in tips, and been here 6 years, maybe even less. But I need to get over it. I just want to know, what do you think about this? What I think I'm with you. I'd be mad if I was you too. She got white privilege. It sucks she had a $200 walkout. I hope y'all aren't a place where y'all have to pay for the people that walk out, because I always feel like that's beyond the pale. I quit.
Yes, sir. I'm not paying shit.
Yeah, I'm not giving y'all $200 because these motherfuckers. I'm not security, nigga. I'll just bring the food to the table.
Right.
But I don't know. She sound racist. That's what she sounds. 100. You know what I mean?
Jakaris.
Yeah. What do you think, Ken? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% in agreement.
Yeah.
And not trying to be funny, server jobs and things like this, it's kind of a weird thing because it's a quote unquote job, but it's not like corporate America and shit like this where there's consequences and repercussions for just outlandishly saying shit like this. That's why they felt like they could say it, because they knew there would be no repercussions behind the words that coming out of their mouths. But you cannot say that in corporate America, because somebody will be like, "Hey bitch, the fuck you talking about?" And so it's a different. This is why, me personally, everybody's talked about this. Fucking get rid of tips and then just pay your people. Just pay people. Flat out. Not that you won't get rid of racism, but it's still one of them things. It's just a fucked up industry, in my opinion, altogether. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the reason why they said that, because they knew it would be no consequences because of their actions, and they know that most of the time they can just say that shit and won't nobody fucking mollywop them across the floor.
Also, because y'all were joking, she's gonna say, "I was just making a joke too."
Right.
I don't know why y'all took it so personal. If y'all could joke like that, why can't I? And it'll probably sound like this if you confront her.
To turn around and say, "I ain't racist. What's it got to do with me? I'm okay. How can I be racist about anybody? How can I be racist about anybody or anything in my life?"
Yeah, and not to find the nerve of you saying this, we're not trying to find it. Bitch, you need the job too. Why else is you here?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Probably would say
come down a notch and look like a petty little brat by tweeting and Facebooking this just to open up dialogue so we can have an adult conversation. In America, you should be ashamed.
So I guess, see you at work tomorrow. Doug says the sex scene convo in the episode 2853 reminded me of a recent episode of Bitches on Comics. The link to the relevant conversation, which I won't try to summarize with the whole episode, is great if you have time. I saved it in my Spotify. It seems to be episode 177. So if you guys want to hear that conversation, you can listen to it. And Mandy says, Grammys. Dear Rod and Karen, I feel perplexed about the speech Jay-Z gave at the Grammys. He is right. The Grammys need to get it right because they always got it wrong, like not giving artists like Diana Ross, Hall & Oates, Snoop Dogg, etc. an award. And to keep Taylor's 4 Album of the Year Grammys and not another artist like SZA, but his speech was very arrogant. I compare it to like someone comes to someone's house that is giving them a special dinner, but to disrespect the host by talking down to them and complaining about not getting the pie when you wanted the cake. You ought to be thankful that someone thought of you, invited you to their house, and honored. They could have given that to a rapper like Curtis Blow or someone that came out during the beginning of rap. He has like 24 Grammys and Beyonce has 32, and he is complaining about her not receiving Album of the Year. I get it that Beyonce should have won Album of the Year for Lemonade, but she never went home empty-handed, never. Yet, I always know that no black woman has not won the Album of the Year since Lawrence Hill since 1999. No rap album has won that since Outkast in 2004. I get it, but he could have been humble in his speech. I wonder if he was talking about Killer Mike when he said some of you should not have been nominated in any category. He didn't say some of you should not have been nominated in any category. He said in the category, and he definitely wasn't talking about Killer Mike then, because Killer Mike won rap album Grammys, not I think he was talking more. I was talking to Bossy about this. I don't think he was dissing any artist for being nominated in the wrong category. He's dissing the Grammys for putting artists in the wrong categories, like they did with Tyler, the Creator, a couple years ago, when he made an album that was an alternative album and they still put him in the rap category. And Tyler, the Creator, came out and said that was not a rap album. So I think that's what Jay-Z's talking about. So still pointing that the Grammys not individual artists. He basically dissed other artists in the Grammys, but he wouldn't have that same heat for the NAACP Awards nor the BET Awards. Yeah, because the BET Awards probably would not have the BET Awards, I'm sure, have given Beyonce Album of the Year and all that shit. BET Awards gets the black stuff right for the most part. The stuff they don't get right is the alternative black stuff, like rock and roll and jazz, other genres of blackness that aren't rap, gospel, and R&B seem to be on the fringes of the BET Awards. So they have a different issue that I don't think Jay-Z would necessarily bring up. But if one of those artists brought it up, I wouldn't be mad. If Lenny Kravitz went to the BET Awards or got nominated for like rock and music icon, and he gave a speech about how they've been doing rock and roll wrong at the BET Awards for over 20, 30, 40 years, I'd be like, that's a valid speech. I wouldn't feel the way you feel. I wouldn't be like, why isn't he being humble? But some people would like to see him be humble and gracious, even if, he had misgivings. I think once you get that stage, that's your minute or whatever to give your speech, that's what it is. Can't be worried about, if you want to speak that truth, sometimes you gotta take the hit for it. Some people not gonna like it, like you didn't seem to like his speech, but 90% of our audience said it, they liked it. So you just concentrate on the 90%, let the 10% be mad or nonplussed. In life, you can't get everything every time, and him showing to his daughter this type of behavior, you are to be arrogant and disrespectful to get recognition, is not good. I don't think I never picked up him being arrogant and disrespectful. So I think that's a matter of, that's how you took it. That's your perception of it. I thought when he talked about being nervous when he held her hand, that's not arrogance to me. That's not giving me disrespect. That meant something. That was very human to me. I don't know, guys. Just wonder, why be disrespectful yet show up to diss the Grammys? They gave you the mass awards. If you don't like their metrics, he or any artist can always choose to not have their album or song submitted for consideration.
Like I said, and you have the right to feel like you do, but also this, for a lot of people, this is where they get their accolades. Like, they work hard, and this is the stage where they get rewarded for their hard work amongst their peers and co-workers and shit like that. And my thing is I did not feel like it was disrespectful. I didn't have a problem with it at all. And I understand why you do, but I don't feel that way. I feel like, and like I say, just like you're projecting, I'm getting ready to project too. I'm just letting you know I'm getting ready to project too. Why is it that when it comes to Black and brown people, we are always asked to be humble? We are always asked to shut up. We are always asked to fold ourselves down. We are always asked to be small. We are always asked to behave right. We are always asked to do the right thing in front of these white people and don't make them feel bad or ashamed about the bullshit and the actions that they've done to us and the injustices that they've done. Because like I said, this is just me and how I'm feeling about it. So I don't have a problem with this. And the thing is, Jay-Z, I feel like Jay-Z is talking from a place of privilege. Now, I don't think it's arrogance, it's privilege. Why I say it's privilege is because he has won the awards. He has played the game. That's the thing. He has played the game. All this be quiet and be humble and don't say shit. He has done that. He's done it for decades. And so for him saying this, he has no consequences and or repercussions to speaking out. Unlike other people, there are consequences and repercussions to speaking out and speaking your truth and telling your truth and things like that. And he understands this and he knows this. And Beyonce is his wife, and he has the right to say, hey, I see the bullshit that y'all did to my wife. I got the right to talk about it. It did not come from Beyonce's mouth. This is the things that he chose to do on that stage with his time. And like I said, maybe it's just me. I just really get sick and tired of people always trying to tell other people how they should act and behave when it's their time to shine. With these situations like this, like I do understand there are people. Yes, there is a time where I do think people are arrogant and blah 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 blah. But I don't think that this was the time. I don't think his speech was a very arrogant type of speech, that he was giving, like a fuck you, fuck a middle finger. I did not get
agree,
that vibe at all.
Especially when he stops to say we love y'all 5 times in a row. That's not arrogance and disrespect to me. He said we love y'all. We want y'all to get it right. He never said that. My main issue is like Mandy says some stuff that he didn't say. Like she's like, if you think they never get it right, then why did you even go? He never said they never got it right. He never said that. He said you don't always get it right. He said we love y'all as an organization. Like he didn't say this, so there's some not just projection, but falsehoods that you just put out there. That, if you're gonna criticize his speech and be like, if you're gonna be in on it, I feel like you have to be accurate and don't just go with like, oh, he said this. Did he? Or did he not say that? You know what I mean? He also gave the initiative that they started with for Black art and Black music. He gave them credit when it started. So I think, there's some, I don't know, there's some like, whether purposeful or not purposeful, I don't know, but we all acknowledge that there's racial bias in the Grammys and all these white award shows. We all acknowledge that. We all acknowledge that they fall short. I don't know why we're demanding that the people that are the most affected by it are the artists that have their careers and stuff affected by it are the ones who shouldn't say anything. Like we're at home saying the same thing that he's saying.
Right.
We're like, well, you showed up. Don't mention it. Like, and also at this point, if he can't say it, who can?
Agreed.
Because what I also saw that wasn't acknowledged a lot was a lot of artists agreeing with him. A lot of Black artists agreeing with him that won't have to take the hit reputationally that he can withstand.
Yes, because people still going to work with him. And nobody's going to blackball him. Nobody's going to write him out. Right.
And he'll still be up for Grammys and all that stuff. Also, I never heard him say he didn't want to win Grammys. He laughed at his own boycott. So you can't even say like, why show up? He told you why. Because you have to admit that Grammys are bigger than you.
Right.
That they are bigger than you. That it is a thing you want. And when you don't show up but still watch it on TV, you're acknowledging that this thing has a gravity to it that still pulls you in. So, I feel like he, I guess I just don't agree with your characterization of it. She says, last part of previous email sounded contradictory. What I meant to say is that if he feels the Grammys never gets it right numerous times, artists have an option to not submit their work for Grammys consideration. Once again, he never said that, they never get it right. But he said, we want you to get it right or at least get it close to right. And so, yeah, I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. You asked our opinion. That's kind of how I feel. It's, coming away from it, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. My browser is freezing, but we're at the end anyway. That was the last email.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Give me a second. I'm gonna have to like hop off of this one and hop into another set. If I can hop back on here.
Wait to the end, didn't it?
I know. It was like right when it was like Mandy's email fucked everything up. It was like, nah. we agree. It was disrespectful, Rod. You can't even
me.
You don't want now look, they humbling me. I can't even say shit, man.
It's like I'm a humble ride right on off the mic.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm back on the thing, but like I said, I think we just kind of feel differently about it.
Right, we just see it differently.
I think but I get your question, and I just want you to know I don't think you're like out to lunch. I think a lot of people feel that way. A lot of white people especially agree with what you're saying, though. Like, well, then why would you disrespect the people that are even honoring? You should be lucky to even be here and all that stuff. And I think a lot of black people, we hear that, when we think about that, it's such a loaded way of presenting it that we immediately reject it.
Agreed.
And so I think that's where we're at. But we'll be back throughout the week and stuff. Thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate y'all. Until next time, Black History. I love you.